Chapter 4684. Evidently, he had treated Yiqing Luo as his love rival. That stance, Yiqing Luo felt that, if it wasn't for the fact that the occasion wasn't right, Chu Zhishang would probably rush up and tear her apart. This was not an exaggeration. Yiqing Luo glanced at Xiao Yinyan. What young Master Qiao likes is obviously the shadow. If she wants to tear something, it should be the shadow, right? Tear her apart? She was just a newbie who had just arrived in the Earth domain. Ni Rupan shook her finger. No, no, no. In Chu Zhishang's eyes, shadow is just a puppet without a soul, and she looks like a little lowly. No matter how gentle and considerate young Master Qiao is to shadow, Chu Zhishang doesn't feel threatened. You mean, I'm a bigger threat to her? Yiqing Luo touched her own face and sighed, I'm a femme fatale, you can blame me for being beautiful? The surrounding brothers of the world group couldn't help but laugh. Yes, 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 whether you look good or not, you have the final say. This was also a rare moment of relaxation and joy in the midst of a dangerous battle. The atmosphere there was quite good. Meanwhile, Xiao Yinyan was fighting with the others. The more Chu Zhishang watched, the more annoyed she became. Ever since Yiqing Luo arrived, the attitude of the people in the Earth domain towards her had obviously changed. It was completely different from the respect he had shown before. Furthermore, because of what had happened at the entrance, most of the people looked at her with mocking gazes. On what basis could Yiqing Luo be the center of attention? As for her, she was the laughingstock of everyone. It was clear that during this period of time when the Earth realm and the Heaven realm were at war, she was the one who led the people of Linglong Palace to help. She was sacrificing for the sake of the Earth domain. As for Yiqing Luo, she did nothing at all. Why? Just because she was the woman the Overlord had chosen? This isn't fair. Chu Zhishang was hysterical in her heart. However, he did not dare to make a sound. The resentment in his heart was unbearable. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists and suddenly picked up the wine on the table, stood up and walked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Earlier the grudge between Chu Zhishang and Yiqing Luo, almost everyone present had a rough understanding of it. Looking at Chu Zhishang walking towards Yiqing Luo. For a moment, the entire main hall fell into silence. His eyes were fixed on Chu Zhishang. Empyrean goddess, what are you doing? This is Madame D's welcoming banquet. Don't mess around. The expressions of many faction leaders changed slightly, and they wanted to step forward to stop them. Chu Zhishang raised her chin slightly, revealing her slender and white neck. I just wanted to have a drink with the Emperor's wife to resolve the misunderstanding just now. She curled her red lips into a mocking smile. Could it be that the Emperor lady is so petty that she won't even give me a chance to apologize? The lady's beautiful eyes rested on Xiao Yinyan's face for a long time before slowly shifting to Yiqing Luo. There was an obvious provocation in his eyes. Her fair little hand held onto that wine glass as she raised it slightly towards Yiqing Luo. Imperial Madam, please. Everyone had different expressions on their faces. They could not guess what Chu Zhishang was planning. However, given the current situation, it was not appropriate for him to stop them. What if Chu Zhishang really wanted to resolve the misunderstanding with Di Furen? But at this moment, the noble and elegant girl in red lazily lifted her eyelids. There was not the slightest bit of emotion in her beautiful eyes. It was very cold and indifferent. I'm sorry, I'm just that petty. Her languid and quiet voice was filled with some sarcasm. The girl's eyes were also full of ridicule, so, please get lost. Pfft. At such a young age, she dared to play tricks in front of her? This book came from Chapter 4685. Did she look like someone who would play her cards according to the script? Yiqing Luo replied, ha, ha. Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. She had not expected Yiqing Luo to express her disgust towards her so straightforwardly. Her expression was awkward as she pursed her lips tightly and found her voice after some time. I just. Stop you. Yi Qing Luo interrupted her words. I'm not interested in you. Don't come near me and I'll ignore you. It's very simple. She spread out her hands and shrugged. It was obviously a very vulgar action. But when the young lady did it, it was very noble and elegant. Especially the posture between her brows, it was disdainful. It made Chu Zhishang feel that she was like a lowly ant, like a clown, jumping around in front of the young lady. But the young lady totally didn't treat her as anything. This feeling of being looked down upon made Chu Zhishang's slender fingers clenched even tighter. Her exquisite face was slightly distorted. And because Qiao Yinyan was watching from the side, and suppressing the distortion in her heart, Yi Qing Luo slowly put down the wine glass. Her fair and slender fingertips lightly knocked on the table. Then she looked up at Chu Zhishang with a smile and said word by word, Ling Long Palace's profound miss. Hold on to your current identity and be quiet. Don't let yourself fall into an embarrassing situation. Chu Zhishang's face flushed red as her fingertips clenched the wine glass tightly, her brows were covered with a layer of viciousness. Imperial Madam, I just want to toast you a glass of wine, why must you be so overbearing? Don't tell me you're so arrogant and despotic just because the overlord is backing you up. She clenched her teeth tightly. Profound miss. City Lord Xiao stood up with a bam as he stared at Chu Zhishang with an ugly expression. Step down. Chu Zhishang raised her chin as her eyes were filled with viciousness. Don't tell me what I said is the truth. After all, Imperial Madam is just a lady who relied on the overlord to climb to this position. If Imperial Madam is really as miraculous as what City Lord said, why not let Imperial Madam lead the team for tomorrow's battle and let this profound miss see what she's capable of? Chu Zhishang had obviously given up. Every single word and sentence was pressing. Mystic Fairy, if you continue to pester me endlessly, don't blame me for chasing you out. City Governor Qiao was also annoyed. He stood up and shouted, Guards. Soon, 2 soldiers rushed in. When City Lord Qiao opened his mouth, Yi Qing Luo stood up leisurely. Her fiery red dress was like a flowing cloud, spreading out flames of joy. It also stopped City Lord Qiao from speaking. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled. There was a slight ripple in her long and narrow eyes. She looked at Chu Zhishang with a smile, and her voice was lazy and calm. You want to propose a toast, so I have to say yes? Who do you think you are? The last word was, N. It was as if it could cause cardiac arrest. You're right about one thing. The girl's smile deepened, and her eyes revealed a strong sense of mockery. I am relying on Xian's support. Looking at Chu Zhishang's face that alternated between green and white, she smiled even more viciously. What? Are you jealous? But you're jealous. You can't even find someone who's willing to support you. You're shameless. Chu Zhishang was angry and annoyed, extremely embarrassed and resentful. Yi Qing Luo continued to smile. You say it as if you're very shameless. Chu Zhishang took a deep breath and took a step back. On her embarrassed face, an unresigned and stubborn expression surfaced. This book came from Chapter 4686. City Lord Qiao. She looked at City Lord Qiao with a whirlpool in her eyes. Imperial Madam is so overbearing and can't tolerate me. If City Lord Qiao is unable to give me an explanation, then I will lead the Linglong Palace. She turned around. Her gaze swept past everyone in the main hall as she said word by word. Submit, to, heaven, realm. The various powerhouses' expressions changed. Mysterious maiden, isn't it a little inappropriate for you to do this? That's right, it's just a small conflict. If you submit to the heaven realm at this moment, wouldn't all your hard work go to waste? Mysterious maiden, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. They had very few forces in the Earth realm. Although the Linglong Palace was made up of women, but all of them were extremely powerful, almost able to fight 1 against 10. The various powerhouses naturally didn't want to lose this assistance. But no matter how the various powerhouses tried to dissuade her, Chu Zhishang's expression didn't change at all. She stared straight at City Lord Xiao as she raised her chin and threatened, "City Lord Xiao, what do you say?" City Lord Xiao's expression was slightly dark. The gaze he shot at Chu Zhishang was extremely malicious. City Lord Xiao was the current City Lord. Chu Zhishang's actions were completely stepping on City Lord Xiao's head. But he had to admit that what the various powerhouses said was right. To the current Earth realm, Linglong Palace was definitely considered as a help. If they lost this help, the Earth realm's days would be even more difficult. His face turned black as he pondered for some time before he suppressed his anger and said, "Mysterious maiden, the realm's important matter is in front of you, don't joke about it. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions and spoil Mysterious Maiden's reputation." "Who told you that I am joking?" Chu Zhishang naturally saw through City Lord Xiao's hesitation. She also knew that these people needed the help of the Linglong Palace. That was why she dared to recklessly use it as a bargaining chip to regain her footing. She raised her chin complacently and gave Yiqing Luo a provocative look. "City Lord Xiao, the person who doesn't care about the safety of the Earth realm is not me." She looked at Yiqing Luo meaningfully. "Of course, this mysterious fairy isn't someone who is calculative. If Imperial Madam is able to apologize for what you said earlier, this mysterious fairy will forgive you." For a moment, no one knew how to persuade him. City Lord Xiao's face darkened with anger. The surroundings were quiet. But the Brothers of the World group could not hold it in. Just when Ni Rupan, Baiming Lulu, and the others were about to stand up and scold Chu Zhishang, the girl waved her slender white hand. He easily suppressed all his anger. There wasn't the slightest bit of emotion on the young girl's beautiful face. Languid and calm. Then, with that kind of emotion, he looked at Chu Zhishang indifferently. "Does Empyrean Fairy know that what you are doing now, in the words of our Nirvana realm, is called treason with the enemy?" The arc on Yiqing Luo's lips was very shallow and her voice was faint and calm. Chu Zhishang bit her lips. "You forced me to do this. Treason with the enemy, to us, is considered as a traitor. Traitor's ending is usually very tragic." Yiqing Luo leaned forward slightly. Her little hand pressed on the table in front of her as she looked at her with a smile. "Has Empyrean Fairy made up her mind to become a traitor?" That smile. It fell into Chu Zhishang's eyes. Like a sharp blade, it pierced into her eyes. Chu Zhishang's hand shook. She refused to admit defeat and continued, "Yes. If you don't apologize for what happened earlier, this mysterious fairy will seek refuge with Heaven Realm." This book came from Chapter 4687. In the end, he gritted his teeth and added, "If the land suffers another heavy blow, you will be the main culprit." Yiqing Luo replied with an, "Oh, mysterious maiden thinks so highly of yourself?" Chu Zhishang blushed and said coldly, "You know nothing about the war between the land and the God realm. Of course, you don't know how important I am to the land." Yiqing Luo nodded her head thoughtfully, "But I feel that mysterious maiden is totally useless in this battle." Soon after, she smiled and said in a clear voice, "Then, take care. I won't send you off." Chu Zhishang's face was full of embarrassment and anger. She looked around angrily. "Are you just going to let her mess around here? City Lord Xiao, shouldn't you say something?" But no one answered her. No one opened their mouth to say a word. Chu Zhishang's delicate body trembled slightly. "Good. You better not regret it." Yiqing Luo replied with a smile, "Mysterious maiden shouldn't regret it." Chu Zhishang was furious. She flicked her sleeves and turned to leave. When she reached the door, she deliberately paused. However, he didn't hear any words of persuasion. She gritted her teeth and stomped out of the room. It was not until Chu Zhishang walked far away that someone asked in a trembling voice, "Imperial Madam, are you really letting her leave just like that?" Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she looked at that person. "Can't bear to? If you can't bear to, then go after her." "No, no." That person paled in fright. "I'm just worried that if the Earth Realm loses the support of the Linglong Palace, it will." "Who said that the Earth Realm would lose the Linglong Palace?" Yiqing Luo interrupted that person's words. That person was startled. Even the surrounding people were stunned. The young girl's eyes were calm, without a single ripple. "A mysterious fairy wants to control the Linglong Palace? Aren't you afraid of bursting?" Her lips curled into a smile. Between his brows, there was confidence and arrogance. "Don't worry, everyone. The Linglong Palace won't leave. Only Chu Zhishang will leave." Everyone looked at each other. Could it be, had the imperial lady already taken over the Linglong Palace without anyone noticing? Was that why he was so confident? However, there was nothing wrong with what the emperor lady said. The crowd did not pursue the matter any further. Although he believed Yiqing Luo's words, but he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. Xiao Yinyan took a look at Yiqing Luo. "Linglong Palace Hall, if they don't want to kill you the moment they see you, would they still listen to you?" Yiqing Luo touched her own face. "Being beautiful means that you can do whatever you want. They are all addicted to my peerless beauty, so they listen to me." Xiao Yinyan, everyone in the world group, compared to the nervousness in the hearts of the people from the major forces, they were very relaxed and satisfied. Because they knew that Yiqing Luo wouldn't make meaningless guarantees. Yiqing Luo got up and hooked her finger at them. "How about it, want to follow along to watch the show? Look at the scene where Chu Zhishang was slapped in the face." Chu Zhishang walked towards her courtyard in shame and indignation. Because the Linglong Palace Hall was filled with women, it was not convenient for them to live together with a group of burly men. City Lord Xiao gave them a courtyard to stay in. During this great battle, to be able to have a courtyard on its own was already considered as a luxury. Because of this, Chu Zhishang had always felt that her status among the forces in the Earth domain was extraordinary. She walked into the courtyard and looked at the disciples who were training in the courtyard as she shouted sternly, "From today onwards, we will no longer help the Earth domain." This book came from Chapter 4688. The disciples who were training immediately stopped what they were doing. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists, her eyes cold. "Since they don't need the help of our Linglong Palace, we will let them know that losing our Linglong Palace is their biggest loss." There were about 100 people in the courtyard. They were all standing in the same place, looking at Chu Zhishang without blinking. Someone wanted to say something, but Chu Zhishang interrupted. However, she was interrupted by Chu Zhishang again. "That slut. She only relied on the D Zun's favor to strut around in front of me. Does she know that without me and the Linglong Palace, the Earth Realm would have been defeated a long time ago? Now, I will bring you to help the Heaven Realm. With our strength, as long as the Heaven Realm wins the war, we will definitely be able to enter the Heaven Realm and become its people." Chu Zhishang was already thinking about her future. Her face was full of distortion. "That bitch, sooner or later, I will make her kneel and beg me to come back." After saying that, Chu Zhishang flicked her sleeves and strode towards her room. "Pack your things and leave the Earth Realm with me." The disciples of Linglong Palace, they looked at each other, but stood still and did not move. After about half an hour, Chu Zhishang walked out with 2 packages. She casually threw the packages to the disciple closest to her. The disciple hurriedly caught the packages and looked at her with a strange expression. Chu Zhishang looked at the 100 people still standing in the courtyard and her face darkened. "What are you still doing here? Didn't you hear what I said? However, the crowd still did not move. Chu Zhishang frowned and had an ominous premonition. What do you mean? You don't want to leave with me? Everyone was silent. Chu Zhishang's face was ferocious, and her eyes were cold. Don't forget that you are from the Linglong Palace. Now, I am the only one left in charge of the Linglong Palace. Do you want to betray the Linglong Palace? The hundreds of disciples looked at each other in dismay. Then, someone said, it is because we do not want to betray Linglong Palace that we cannot leave the Earth Realm. What do you mean? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists and vaguely guessed something. This mysterious fairy is the mysterious fairy of Linglong Palace. The others are all fake. The disciple of the Linglong Palace shook his head. Lady Mystic Fairy, we have received orders from the headquarters of the Linglong Palace to defend the Earth Domain and fight alongside City Lord Xiao to protect the Earth Domain. She paused and asked tentatively, didn't Miss Mystic Fairy receive this news? Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. It must be Yi Qing Luo, that slut who is scheming against me. You've all been cheated. What headquarters orders? Linglong Palace doesn't have any headquarters at all. There's no one who can manage Linglong Palace. But Lady Mystic Maiden, didn't you say before that you would bring us to the Linglong Palace's headquarters to rescue the Linglong Palace's Hall Master? The expressions of the Linglong Palace's disciples also changed, and their eyes were filled with suspicion. Chu Zhishang's heart shuddered as she pursed her lips tightly and shook her head. No, no, the news you received must be Yi Qing Luo's scheme, that is absolutely not from Linglong Palace's headquarters. The disciple of the Linglong Palace took out a wooden token from his bosom with a cold expression. On the wooden plaque, there was an obvious symbol of the Linglong Palace. Moreover, it was the symbol of the Linglong Palace's Hall Master. In the entire Linglong Palace, no one could fake it. Chu Zhishang stared at that wooden plaque as her face turned pale. She shook her head as she kept mumbling, no. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Tomorrow I need to bring Chi for vaccination. Mother doesn't allow me to stay up late at night. Update one chapter and apply for a day's leave. Rest for a while and adjust the update time, so as to not need the anti-theft chapter in future. End of this chapter. Watch Start Zue new chapter section. Please arrive Tang Ku Company, mobile address. Chapter 4689. Lady Mystic Fairy, why, didn't you receive any orders from the headquarters of the Linglong Palace? Someone asked. Chu Zhishang's mind was a mess. His scarlet eyes glared angrily at the people in front of him. This is definitely fake. I am the rightful ruler of the Linglong Palace. Everyone looked at Chu Zhishang, who was obviously on the verge of madness, and frowned. Lady Mystic Fairy, no one can fake the symbol of the Linglong Palace Lord. Why are you so sure that it is fake? If Lady Mystic Fairy can't give us a reasonable explanation, how can we trust you? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists. Her sinister and scarlet eyes faintly flashed a cold light. That's because, the headquarters of the Nimble Palace is no more. Chu Zhishang's words caused the disciples of the Linglong Palace to have different expressions. Arrogant justice brought that imperial madam, that slut Yi Qing Luo, to the Linglong Palace headquarters, and the entire headquarters was destroyed in Yi Qing Luo's hands. Yi Qing Luo killed the Lord of Linglong Palace and destroyed their headquarters. It must be Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo snatched the Linglong Palace Lord's seal. You pretended to be the headquarters of the Linglong Palace and gave orders to you. Chu Zhishang no longer concealed the news from the headquarters. Even if she, the Empyrean Fairy, had deceived the disciples of the Linglong Palace. However, her identity as the Empyrean Fairy was genuine and could not be faked. She was much more noble than that impostor Yi Qing Luo. Chu Zhishang's face was distorted as she looked at the disciples mockingly. Are you going to listen to a person who killed the Lord and betray me, the mysterious fairy of the Linglong Palace? She questioned him word by word, as if victory was already in her grasp. The disciples' expressions froze slightly, as if they were pondering over the truth of her words. Now, I'm going to leave the earth realm and head to the heaven realm. Are you going to choose to believe a liar or leave with me? Chu Zhishang strode to the disciple on the side, snatched the 2 parcels, and walked forward. Her back was very straight. It was as if he had a clear conscience. However, until she reached the entrance of the courtyard, there was no sound of footsteps behind her. No one chose to leave with her. No one. How was this possible? Chu Zhishang turned her head in disbelief, and the look of victory suddenly disappeared. She widened her eyes and stared fixedly at the hundreds of motionless disciples behind her. All of you want to betray Linglong Palace. Good. The Linglong Palace nurtured you for so long, and this is how you repay them. If the palace lord were to know of this in the underworld, he would definitely reprimand you for your heartlessness. It was a hysterical voice that sounded like a threat and an attempt to play the emotional card. The disciples were not shaken in the slightest. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists. She couldn't believe that these disciples had completely ignored her words. Pa! A clapping sound could be heard. In this strange and silent atmosphere, it was especially clear to the ears. With a pale face, Chu Zhishang looked up in the direction of the sound. He saw a beautiful young lady dressed in blazing flames slowly walking over under the escort of the world group as well as Qiao Yinyan. Chu Zhishang's eyes, as if she had seen a mortal enemy, stared at Yi Qing Luo with resentment. It's you. You killed the palace lord, and even impersonated the Linglong Palace headquarters to give them orders. Yi Qing Luo, you're really vicious. Young Miss Chu, I'm afraid that until now, you still haven't figured out the situation right. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled slightly as she slowly walked towards her. Chapter 4690. Chu Zhishang's heart skipped a beat as she had an ominous premonition. Yi Qing Luo smiled sweetly as her long and narrow eyes were filled with splendor, like a blooming rose. It's not important who killed the Linglong Palace Lord, what's important is. She raised her hand. The palm of her hand was a palm-sized Y. In the middle, it was carved with the unique symbol of the Linglong Palace. It was sparkling with a faint glow. Yi Qing Luo smiled as she spoke word by word. The management rights of the Linglong Palace is now in my hands. This was. Chu Zhishang was astonished as she went into a daze. As the Linglong Palace's mysterious maiden, how could she not recognize it? This wasn't the Linglong Palace Lord's Y. In the middle. But it was above the Linglong Palace Lord. That mysterious and powerful existence behind the Linglong Palace. The disciples of the Linglong Palace roughly knew that the existence of the Linglong Palace. Even the powerful Palace Lord was afraid of a deity. That person was the one who truly controlled the Linglong Palace. No matter who was elected as the Linglong Palace Lord or mysterious maiden, it all depended on the person behind the Linglong Palace. The Y in Yi Qing Luo's hand. In the middle was that symbol which only the person behind the scenes of the Linglong Palace had. Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. She looked at the young lady in front of her in a daze. Following that, she clenched the bag tightly as she shook her head. No. Impossible, how could you possibly get this Y? The center. You absolutely cannot be the person in charge of the Linglong Palace, you. This is all fake. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled up as she smiled sweetly, elegant and brilliant. I don't care if you think it's fake, as long as the disciples of the Linglong Palace know that this is real, that's enough. She threw the Y in her hand. Center, gently tossed it on her fingertips. That precious Y which made the disciples of the Linglong Palace envious. In the middle. Like a toy, Yi Qing Luo was playing with it on her fingertips. Chu Zhishang's eyes followed that tossing and dropping Y. In the center, it swam back and forth. Her scarlet eyes were filled with agitation and craziness. Yiqing Luo. This doesn't belong to you, return it to me. Give it back to me. Suddenly, as though she had gone mad, she dashed towards Yiqing Luo. He casually threw the package in his hand to the side. Her fingers were like an eagle's claws, speedily shooting towards the Y that Yiqing Luo had thrown up. The center struck. Yiqing Luo caught that took a few steps back. Very quickly, 2 Ling Long Palace's disciples stood in front of Yiqing Luo and blocked Chu Zhishang's attack. Chu Zhishang looked at the 2 disciples in front of her, who usually listened to her, and now stood on the side of the enemy. She stared at the 2 disciples. Now, you have made up your mind to betray me, the mysterious fairy, right? Without waiting for the 2 disciples to speak. The girl's leisurely voice could be heard. After all, who would dare to believe a liar's words? They are smart people. How could they betray the Linglong Palace for a swindler? This sentence was strangely familiar. Chu Zhishang was stunned for a while before she remembered. Wasn't that what she said to the Linglong Palace's disciples just now? Wasn't that what she said to the Linglong Palace's disciples earlier? Today, the person in charge of the Linglong Palace is me. Yiqing Luo laughed softly, as her fingertips lazily touched her lower lip, as she opened her mouth. Earlier Miss Chu had already spoken very righteously, wanting to break away from the boundary, so I shall grant Miss Chu your wish. Her voice paused slightly. Her fingertips held on to the Y. In the middle. Chapter 4691. As the person in charge of Linglong Palace, I give a new order. Remove Chu Zhishang from the position of mysterious maiden and chase her out of Linglong Palace. From today onwards, Chu Zhishang is no longer a member of Linglong Palace. Clear words, one after another, were transmitted into Chu Zhishang's ears. Chu Zhishang's expression congealed. You can't do that. I am the mysterious maiden chosen by the palace lord, you don't have this right. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled evilly. Unfortunately, I have this right. What a joke. The founder of Linglong Palace was the barbaric Blood-Bone King. Since she came to the Earth realm, barbaric Blood-Bone King used the excuse of investigating something and left. He left a few things for her. This seal was one of them. She didn't think so much at that time. If it wasn't for the fact that Chu Zhishang put her face forward for her to slap. She probably didn't expect that. Linglong Palace could be used. Barbaric Blood-Bone King handed Linglong Palace to her. She naturally had to discipline these disciples on behalf of Barbaric Blood-Bone King. The first thing was to sweep away those who had ulterior motives. It was annoying to see. Chase them away. Power was willful. How would Chu Zhishang let it go? But the next moment, Yiqing Luo waved her hand and asked the Linglong Palace's disciples to carry her out. They also picked up the bag which she threw aside and threw it out of the safety zone with Qiao residence as the center. Chu Zhishang was mercilessly thrown out of the city by her former subordinates. Until she sat down on the ground. Chu Zhishang had yet to regain her senses. She was chased out of the Earth realm. She actually was really chased out of the Earth realm. And it was only her who was chased out of the Earth realm. In her imagination, she led the Linglong Palace's troops out of the Earth realm and waited for City Lord Xiao to beg softly and so on. It was totally different from now. Her Linglong Palace's troops had betrayed her. What could she do alone in this battle? She had no capital to negotiate. How would the Heaven Realm agree to her request? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists, her eyes were horrified and her face twisted with horror. She gritted her teeth and spat out 3 words, Yiqing Luo. Her expression was malevolent as she clenched her teeth and screamed hysterically towards Qiao residence, Yiqing Luo, I will not let you off so easily. Absolutely not. In the Qiao mansion. The sky was filled with Chu Zhishang's resentful roar. Xiao Yinyan cast a sidelong glance at Yiqing Luo. This is the good show you were talking about? Ni Ruopan leaned forward. Madam Qing Luo, aren't you worried that she would really do something just to deal with you? Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes were frivolous as she looked at the direction where Chu Zhishang left with a smile that didn't look like a smile. A dim light flashed across his eyes. This is exactly what I wanted. What the hell are you planning? Those who understood Yiqing Luo would know that the current Yiqing Luo was definitely scheming something. Yiqing Luo shook her finger. If I tell you, wouldn't it be meaningless? Xiao Yinyan raised his eyebrows, his handsome face revealed a teasing smile. Don't underestimate the power of a woman's hatred. It's very easy to capsize accidentally. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept past Mo Yuing. Her voice was frivolous as she spoke with a smile. Looks like young Master Qiao is quite familiar with women. I wonder how much of the power of hatred from women has young Master Qiao experienced. Xiao Yinyan. How could such words be spoken so casually? He still had to explain to the shadow. Chapter 4692. Chu Zhishang's episode didn't affect the world group's joy of reunion. That night, the group of them stayed in the courtyard, discussing about their own matters. As for the second day, they didn't sleep at all. So they started their morning training. Apparently, training had become their daily compulsory course. Making training into a habit. No matter how strong they were, they would ensure the most basic training every day. This would be of great help to their cultivation. Yiqing Luo accompanied them to train for 2 hours. City Lord Xiao sent someone to invite her for breakfast. He came to look for her early in the morning. Naturally, it wasn't as simple as having breakfast. Definitely. It was for the war between the two realms. She didn't mention it yesterday because she knew that their brotherly relationship was deep and it was rare for them to meet again, so she gave them the time to reunite. But, in the midst of the war, time was really too precious. Yiqing Luo followed the soldiers to City Lord Xiao's place. She saw a big round table with a pot of thin porridge and a plate of white steamed buns. A few burly men sat beside City Lord Xiao. Yiqing Luo had met them last night and knew them. They were the leaders of the few remaining large factions in the land. Yiqing Luo's gaze fell on the leftmost, a figure who wasn't considered familiar but not foreign either. Her gaze met that person's gaze for too long. It attracted City Lord Xiao's attention. City Lord Xiao looked at the both of them as he smiled. Madame D and the acting group leader of the blood mercenary group know each other? Yiqing Luo's lips curled slightly. Yes. Her gaze fell onto that person as she smiled faintly. Vice Group Leader Bo, how have you been? That person was the Vice Group Leader of the blood mercenary group. He was the Vice Group Leader who admired Gu Zishi. The blood mercenary group's power was represented by Bo Songyi. Su Qingbing still hadn't returned from the heaven realm? Was it because of Zhu Wu Xian? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she slowly walked to Bo Songyi's side and sat down. Very quickly, someone sent over a set of clean bowls and chopsticks. Madame D. Bo Songyi's eyes sunk as he pursed his lips tightly and stared at Yiqing Luo. I have a personal question to ask you, can you answer it? Is it regarding Group Leader Su, or Zishi's matter? Yiqing Luo filled a bowl of porridge as she replied. Bo Songyi's face stiffened. The gazes of the leaders of the major factions were all focused on him. He opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word. Yiqing Luo understood. Bo Songyi obviously wanted to ask about Gu Zishi. He didn't think about his regiment commander at all. She asked this question. If he really answered Gu Zishi's question, it would definitely cause the leaders of those factions to be biased against him. After all, those who wanted to achieve great things couldn't be restricted by love. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. if you ask group leader Su, I've met her once in the heaven realm, but I don't know where she is now. If you ask Zishi. Her long and narrow eyes flickered slightly, and her smile became a little more charming. She and Ah Sheng are very close. After the war, we can invite the bloody mercenaries to our wedding. Her answer solved Bo Songyi's problem very well. However, his words were filled with a strong sense of warning. Bo Songyi's pupils constricted. He slowly looked away and said calmly, "Thank you for telling me." Yiqing Luo sat beside him. She could clearly see his fingers, which were slightly curled up under the table. Yiqing Luo sighed silently in her heart. Trouble, trouble. Just hearing about Zishi and Ah Sheng's relationship and his reaction was so huge. When he met the two of them later, wouldn't he be, Jia? Chapter 4693. After Bo Songyi responded to Yiqing Luo's words, he lowered his head and didn't say a word. City Lord Xiao directly explained the reason why he asked Yiqing Luo to come over. This battle with the heaven realm, the earth realm, will be in grave danger. I wonder if everyone has any brilliant ideas to deal with the heaven realm? City Lord Xiao asked everyone, but in reality, everyone present understood. This question was only asked to Yiqing Luo alone. If they had a way. If he had revealed the method at the start of the battle, he wouldn't have waited until now. Yiqing Luo's eyes congealed slightly as she placed the spoon in the bowl and looked at City Lord Xiao. Heaven realm's motive is to invade the land. She paused for a moment, and under the solemn gazes of the others, she said word by word, its final objective is to unify the three realms and become the true ruler of the world. When Yiqing Luo's words ended, everyone's expression changed drastically. All of them looked at Yiqing Luo in disbelief. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Unify the three realms? Control the world? Are you sure you're not joking? The three realms had always maintained peace, and there had never been any conflicts between them. It had always been a peaceful era. How could anyone have such a ridiculous idea? On the surface, the one leading the war in Heaven Realm is the Ren family, one of the four great families in Heaven Realm. But in reality, the so-called Ren family is just an empty shell. Yiqing Luo knew that they wouldn't believe her so easily and explained slowly. She briefly explained the cooperation between the Ren family and the Palace of Gloomy Darkness. Everyone who heard this was stunned, and they were unable to come back to their senses. Wait. You're saying that the current head of the Ren family is dead? A faction master raised a question. But, the heaven is led by the Ren family, and they are gradually conquering the land. If the head of the Ren family died, the Ren family was without a leader. How were they going to lead the various forces of the heaven realm to attack the earth realm? On the surface, the head of the Ren family, Ren Jianying, is dead, but, the real person in charge of the Ren family is not Ren Jianying. Yiqing Luo explained, no matter if it's invading the earth realm or controlling the three realms, all of these are because of Palace of Darkness ambition. Gloomy Palace. This wasn't the first time the people from the major forces had heard of this. Some leaders frowned and said worriedly, what is the background of that dark nether palace? It feels like it appeared out of thin air. After appearing out of thin air, with the fastest speed, he swept away their knowledge. Back then, it had almost destroyed the entire Earth domain. Just where did this come from? Yiqing Luo's eyes congealed slightly. The identity of the person behind the Palace of Darkness, or the information given by the Hell Palace. Before it was confirmed, she couldn't tell anyone. To avoid disturbing the hearts of the crowd. And, most importantly, whenever the divine realm was mentioned. This matter had something to do with the God world. The minds of the crowd would not be as pure as they were now. The Earth realm's overall ability is indeed not as good as Heaven realm. Adding on to the fact that Heaven realm has the secluded palace's interference, it would indeed be troublesome to deal with them. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly as she analyzed the current situation for everyone. As someone who had just returned from the heaven realm, she had the most right to speak. Their expressions suddenly changed. Then, could it be that the land can only obediently surrender? It's impossible for me to pledge allegiance, not even in this lifetime. Yi Qing Luo raised a finger and shook it. The Earth realm will always be the Earth realm, and will never merge with other realms. The three realms will always be a single entity. Chapter 4694. The reason why the realms were divided according to the disparity in strength was that the realms were divided into different levels. It was to maintain order in the world. In the world, there were strong and weak, high and low. That was normal. If all the realms fused together, the Nirvana realm could not catch up to the Earth realm. The Earth realm could not catch up to the Heaven realm. Above the heavenly realm, there was still the divine realm. After the disparity in strength was too great. The law of the jungle. The weak would soon be eliminated. Then what? Then, what was left of this world? Only the experts from the divine world or the heaven realm were left? If the palace of gloomy darkness wanted to create the most powerful world, however, as mentioned earlier, there were strong and weak people in the world. No one could be invincible. In the end, someone will catch up to you from behind and replace your existence. When the entire world was left with nothing but endless slaughter. What was the point? The people behind the scenes of the gloomy palace only thought about their own benefits. They never thought about the outcome of controlling the world. Based on the current situation, it is indeed difficult for the land to hold on for more than a few days. City Lord Xiao had a troubled look on his face. Right now, most of the forces in the Earth domain are willing to fight alongside the Earth domain. However, as the battle becomes more intense, coupled with the disparity in strength between the Earth domain and the Heaven domain, the Earth domain is increasingly losing. He paused for a moment. There are still many large forces that have yet to participate in the war. The situation of the battle was getting more and more dangerous. On the Heaven realm side, the Ren family was currently leading the charge, killing everyone on the battlefield. He hadn't even seen the shadow of the Dark Palace. However, the Earth domain side was practically unable to send out anyone. That's right, that's right. If the Hell Palace, which everyone calls the Lunatics, is willing to join the land, they will definitely be a great help to the land. Also, the former number 1 family in Shadowless City, the Mu family, has no intention of joining the Earth domain. When the leaders of the factions mentioned the Mu family, their expressions were a little strange. Everyone knew. Back then Yi Qing Luo and Mu family's young miss, who was also Shadowless City's mysterious maiden Mu Qiulan, had their heart set on the Overlord and even put on an emotional drama with the fake Overlord. At that time, he even became the laughing stock of the 3 main cities. After the Qiao family unified the 3 main cities. Because of the relationship between the Qiao family and Yi Qing Luo. The Mu family didn't give City Lord Xiao any face. He had no intention of submitting either. At that time, there was no great battle. City Lord Xiao didn't mind. Who would have thought that after the battle began, although the Mu family did not say that they would help the Heaven realm. However, he did not help the land either. It was just like how the Underworld Palace looked on with folded arms, as if it had nothing to do with them. The Underworld Palace's side was filled with a bunch of fighting lunatics. If the Underworld Palace was willing to lend a hand, the combat power of the land domain would definitely be greatly improved. The Heaven realm would definitely not be able to gain any advantage. As for the Mu family, the Mu family's influence in the land domain was not particularly large. However, the Mu family was still the number 1 family in Shadowless City. It was not only because of the Empyrean fairy chosen by the Linglong Palace. Rather, it was because the Mu clan was proficient in the art of divination and setting up formations. If the Mu family can help, This would definitely be able to destroy most of the forces in the heaven and allow the land to defend for a longer period of time. I know. Yi Qing Luo's eyes sunk. Old Lai had made it very clear on the Underworld Palace's side. Even if it was for the sake of his brothers in the Underworld Palace. The Underworld Palace would not participate in this war either. As for the Mu family, Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly as a faint cold glint leaked out from the bottom of her eyes. She pursed her lips. The war now is indeed not friendly to the land domain. Chapter 4695. If the Earth Realm's defense line is breached by Heaven Realm, Xiao family, as well as the Earth Realm's forces will swiftly collapse. This was the reason why Heaven Realm kept on launching attacks. They wanted to take advantage of the situation to break through the Earth Realm's defense line. Everyone present naturally understood this in their hearts. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, City Lord Xiao's expression turned solemn. What brilliant idea does Imperial Madam have? Yi Qing Luo's fair wrist propped up as her slender fingers gently touched her chin. She gently curved her lower lip, and her long and narrow eyes were filled with a brilliant light. I've already made the first move. The next step is to see if the chess pieces are able to follow the steps that I have planned and place the pieces. The few of them looked at each other in dismay as they didn't understand what she meant. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo had no intention to say more, City Lord Xiao didn't pursue further as he stood up. Since Imperial Madam is free to make the arrangements, I shall wait for your good news. If there's anything you need help with, please feel free to instruct me. The battle between the Earth Realm and Heaven Realm had never stopped. The battle was getting more and more anxious. Both parties were locked in a fierce battle. Yi Qing Luo asked the World Group to lead a portion of the soldiers to provide support. After that, she left the Qiao residence alone. One force's leader stared at the direction where Yi Qing Luo left as he asked solemnly, City Lord Xiao, can Imperial Madam really turn the situation around? Has she already thought of a plan or is she afraid? The other force's leaders had a complicated expression. Back then the Earth Realm was almost annihilated because of secluded Darkness Palace, and it was Yi Qing Luo who saved the people of the Earth Realm. This news was known to the entire Earth Realm. But they had never seen Yi Qing Luo's true ability. Moreover, Yi Qing Luo was Dmo Xian's woman. No matter if it was in the past or present. As long as the lady was slightly stronger. In the outsider's mouths or thoughts, there would always be some strange thoughts. Especially a beautiful lady. And she even had a fiancé who was invincible in the world. Yi Qing Luo was strong. Was she strong herself? Or did she rely on the overlord? They had some suspicions in their hearts. One couldn't blame these forces' leaders for thinking this way. If Yi Qing Luo was really as powerful as the rumor said, and was hailed as war god, the war between the earth and the heaven was so dangerous. He should at least go to the battlefield and kill a few people from the heaven, right? But she didn't even go to the battlefield. He only ordered the World Group to rush over. What difference did it make if she was here or not? She couldn't be hiding by herself, could she? City Lord Xiao's gaze was sharp as he stopped those people from speaking. Madame D has her own plans. You don't need to ask or think too much. Just think of a way to deal with the Heaven Realm. The leaders of the various factions were gagged and shut their mouths. But in his heart, he was obviously not convinced. Yi Qing Luo sat on Qi and ran straight to the Mu family. She had no intention of persuading the Underworld Palace. As for the Mu family, a cold light flashed across her long and narrow eyes, which seemed to have a deeper meaning. Qi was very fast. They passed through the main city and arrived at the former shadowless city. The Mu family was not difficult to find. The entire city was practically empty. Only the most luxurious courtyard in the center of the city was still occupied. Yi Qing Luo flipped down from Qi's back. After recalling Mu Chichi back into the pet space, she headed to the Mu family. He had just arrived at the door. Yi Qing Luo was stopped in her tracks by a strong resistance. Old Man Tsang said in her mind, the reason why the Mu family is able to stay stable in the war is because the Heaven Realm is unable to invade the Mu family. Chapter 4696. The Mu family was good at Chimen Dunjia. Array was just one of them. Yi Qing Luo wasn't surprised that she would be blocked outside. She stood in front of the Mu family's door and took 2 steps back. She immediately raised her finger. The glower flame fan rolled up a profound wave and hit the invisible resistance. Boom! A loud sound rang out. Yi Qing Luo could vaguely see a circle of ripples in the air. But her attack didn't enter the Mu family's residence. Instead, it was blocked out of thin air. Yi Qing Luo kept the glower flame fan and stood aside. After a while, an old man walked out from the crowd. When he saw the person standing outside the enchantment, his face froze slightly. His fingertip pointed in the air. A circle of light was drawn. The old man walked out of the Mu family's residence. His eyes fell on Yi Qing Luo, sizing her up, and slowly opened his mouth. Red God of War. Yi Qing Luo? Dressed in red, devastatingly beautiful. A red fan could kill anything. Wasn't this the symbol of the Red God of War? Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up slightly. Can I see the Mu family's patriarch? The old man hesitated for a moment. Wait for me to inform him. Yi Qing Luo wasn't in a hurry. Not long after the old man left, he came over to invite Yi Qing Luo into the mansion. After Yi Qing Luo stepped into the Mu family's residence, the old man quickly repaired the array. He was afraid that a few burly men would suddenly appear behind Yi Qing Luo and forcibly rush into the Mu family's residence. But, until Yi Qing Luo stepped into the Mu family's residence, the old man didn't notice any dangerous aura around the Mu family's residence. Could it be, did the God of War in red really come to the Mu family alone? The old man brought Yi Qing Luo into the Mu family's residence with doubts, while reminding her not to wander around randomly. Luan touched. In the Mu family's residence, anything you bump into could be an array or other messy things. Yi Qing Luo followed behind the old man and didn't do anything else. Soon, Yi Qing Luo was led into a hall. Yi Qing Luo also met the current patriarch of the Mu family. Mu family's patriarch was about 50 years old, but his face was extremely healthy and didn't look old. When he saw Yi Qing Luo, his expression didn't look too good. Apparently he didn't want to see her. Madam D, are you here to invite me to join the Earth Domain's forces? Mu family's patriarch went straight to the point and didn't intend to chat with Yi Qing Luo. The smile on Yi Qing Luo's pink lips didn't diminish as she leisurely sat down on the chair by the side, smiling sweetly. Let's not talk about it for now. Yi Qing Luo's face, what do you want to do? Luo Qing Luo Mu family, Yi, I want to hear of Mu family's situation. Master Mu frowned. I'm not interested in this battle, and I don't have any interest in it. I'm afraid Madam D has come to the wrong place. Qing Qi of Tian the battle, of the Mu family's cities Mu family of the Qing's Tian clan's Luo lord. The only ones who clans Chang, is the Qiu Cheng city of. As for Heaven Realm, other than the Ren family and other forces, there are other hidden forces who haven't shown themselves. Even if the Mu family helps the Mu family, it won't be of much use. At most, it can only delay the invasion. The young lady's concise words made Mu family's patriarch's expression turn colder. His brows were almost knitted into a ball. He went straight to the point. But the young lady was more direct than him. What she said made Mu family's patriarch have an ominous premonition. Since you know it's useless, why are you here? Mu family's patriarch's voice was deep. Chapter 4697. Yi Qing Luo slightly hooked her lips. There was no change in her expression. she was very calm, naturally, to prevent the Mu family from helping the Heaven Realm. She chuckled and knocked on the table. The thumping sound was like thunder. It was extremely loud and clear in the hall. Although the Mu family helping the Earth Realm has little effect on the Earth Realm, but, if the Mu family helps the Heaven Realm, it will be another situation. Her fingertips stopped abruptly. The smile on the corner of the mouth was even more beautiful. Like a blooming mandala, revealing a suffocating charm. But dangerous and fatal. In this way, the impact on the Earth Realm is too great, the Earth Realm can't support it. Mu family patriarch thought that he had been in a high position for decades. What hadn't he seen? Even in the midst of the war between the two realms, he was able to remain unperturbed and remain unfazed. But under the girl's faint smile, he felt a chill down his spine. Mu family patriarch straightened his emotions and said seriously, "The Mu family will not help the Earth Realm, nor will they help the Heaven Realm." Yi Qing Luo chuckled a few times. The low hoarse voice, with a smile, languid, like a curved hook, gently tugged at one's heartstrings. Mu family patriarch's expression became more and more dignified. His body also subconsciously tensed up. As if the secret in the bottom of his heart was spread out and placed in front of him. He clasped his fingers tightly, pressed the chair, stood up suddenly, and looked sullen. "Madam, if there is nothing else, please leave the Mu family. The Mu family does not welcome anyone from the Earth Realm and the Heaven Realm." Yi Qing Luo leaned back lazily, retracted her slender white fingers from the table, and put them on her lap. "Mu family patriarch, a straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. You should understand the purpose of my coming here." Mu family patriarch stood there, his gaze was cold, and he looked at Yi Qing Luo angrily. "Madam, I don't understand what you are saying, and I don't want to understand." After the roar, Mu family patriarch seemed to realize something, took a deep breath, and calmed his tone. "The Mu family is not willing to intervene in any of the realms. Madam is here. It is easy for the Heaven Realm to misunderstand the Mu family. Please do not make things difficult for me." It seems that Patriarch Mu doesn't intend to make it clear. Yi Qing Luo's expression was calm and languid, her long and narrow eyes were curved, hooking a shallow arc. "In this case, I'll make it clear." The head of the Mu family held his breath, and his body tensed up, making his expression somewhat unfriendly. "As I said before, the current situation in the land is extremely dangerous. The world group that I belong to has joined the land domain and the Linglong Palace has joined the land domain. This is merely a drop in the bucket. The Earth domain still has two major factions, the Hell Palace and the Mu family. Their attitudes are unclear. The reason why the Underworld Palace is able to remain unscathed is because they have a deal with the Palace of Gloomy Darkness." Yi Qing Luo's voice was faint, suddenly her pink lips curled up, her brows seemed to reveal some coldness. "Then, what about the Mu family?" Patriarch Mu's face suddenly turned pale. Looking at Yi Qing Luo's gaze, it revealed some unknown gloominess. Yi Qing Luo continued, "Based on Heaven Realm's means, it's impossible to let the Mu family stay out of trouble. According to my understanding of the Palace of Gloomy Darkness, they will either be used by them, or they will get rid of all future troubles. But when I just came to the Mu family, in the radius of 1,000 miles, only the Mu family is safe and sound. This is not just relying on the Mu family's exclusive array, to be able to withstand the war." Yi Qing Luo's pink lips smiled even more. Her long and narrow eyes were overflowing with vibrant colors. "Patriarch Mu, do you think I've guessed correctly?" End of this chapter. Chapter 4698. Mu family's patriarch's face turned from white to black and then green. Finally, his expression returned to normal. His hands were behind his body as he faced Yi Qing Luo. The expression on his face was that of a high-ranking person. "Imperial Madam is indeed smart, nothing can be hidden from Imperial Madam's eyes." Yi Qing Luo's lips curled slightly. "Tell me, what consensus did Misty Palace and Mu family come to? Mu family's patriarch didn't reply but looked at Yiqing Luo as his lips curled into an extremely faint cold arc. Imperial Madam knew that Mu family had already belonged to Misty Palace and came here alone. Did you really feel that other than the art of invisibility, Mu family doesn't know anything else? Yiqing Luo's brows rose. What does Mu family patriarch mean? Imperial Madam came here alone. I admire your courage. Mu family's patriarch smiled, but Imperial Madam has belittled Mu family. He took a step back. Dozens of guards dressed in martial attire surrounded the entire hall like a swarm of bees. The young lady, who was surrounded by the crowd, raised her eyes slightly. Her long and enchanting eyes were cold and serene. However, they did not see the slightest bit of panic or astonishment on her face. Her lips curled up as she smiled calmly. Automatic refresh at 6 in the morning. 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 Grand Elder's face turned black as he didn't talk to him anymore. After Long Yunzhan appeared, Yiqing Luo's vision was fixed on him. Her eyes were sparkling like water as she stared at Long Yunzhan without blinking. Ever since Ren Jianying mentioned Long Yunzhan, she could still lie to herself. All these were fake. Ren Jianying intentionally mentioned it to agitate her. But now, Long Yunzhan appeared personally. Personally said it out. He had indeed made use of her understanding of her to help Misty Palace. Only, Misty Palace didn't appreciate it. She snorted lightly, and a cold mocking expression flashed across her face. You're not allowed to look at him. A large palm covered her eyes. A man's displeased voice was heard, I'm very unhappy now. Earlier, Yiqing Luo knew that Long Yunzhan liked her. Now, Yiqing Luo was still staring at Long Yunzhan. Even if Dmo Xian knew that his wife had no feelings for Long Yunzhan. But the moment Yiqing Luo's gaze looked over, he was displeased. The young lady's long curly lashes slowly swept over Dmo Xian's palm. Her hand covered his large palm and slowly moved away. Alright, I won't look anymore. Long Yunzhan, didn't you want us to believe you? Fine, now, make a move on that woman and make me believe you. The great elder saw that the young couple was still kissing each other, and his expression immediately turned ugly. Long Yunzhan did not say a word as he drew out the sword in his hand. The blue profound light shone brightly in the quiet night. He raised his long sword and walked towards Yiqing Luo step by step. Seeing Long Yunzhan's action, the first elder couldn't help but laugh out loud. This elder loves this kind of fratricide the most, ha ha ha. It was only during the day that Long Yunzhan faced her with his sword. Now, Long Yunzhan was once again holding onto that sword which had once protected the World Group's brothers, pointing it at her. Even though she had many justifications for Long Yunzhan in her heart, and had thought of numerous reasons for him. But when it came to this kind of situation. This chapter end viewing starting event Zue new chapter section please arrive Tang Ku shop, mobile address. Chapter 4699. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as her voice sounded seductive. That person who impersonated Ah Xian was sent by Secluded Palace. The people of Gloomy Palace plotted to get close to your daughter, took away her innocence, and played with her in the palm of their hands. With the way the Palace of Darkness does things, how do you think they will treat your daughter after spending so much effort and failing? Patriarch Mu's expression froze, and his eyes were a little gloomy. But he didn't waver because of Yiqing Luo's words. Why should this patriarch believe you? Yiqing Luo laughed lightly, just based on. I feel that you should love your daughter quite a lot. Patriarch Mu clenched his 5 fingers. Yiqing Luo continued, Mu Qiulan's death might be related to me, but in the end, it was Secluded Darkness Palace who gave Mu Qiulan a huge hope, and then led her to do the wrong thing step by step. She slowly took out the seal of the highest representative of the Linglong Palace. I am now the new palace master of the Ling Long Palace. The girl's voice was calm and serene. Due to the scheme of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows, the Palace of Ling Long has been torn apart. The previous palace master begged me to avenge the Palace of Ling Long and avenge the mysterious fairies of the Palace of Ling Long. His face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't jump as he spouted nonsense with a straight face. The Mu family's patriarch stared blankly at the seal of the Ling Long Palace in the young girl's palm. As the father of the Empyrean fairy, naturally, he understood the symbol of the Ling Long Palace. But, how can you prove that what you said is true? Patriarch Mu was indeed shaken. Just like what Yiqing Luo said. He did love his daughter. Mu Qilan was the most outstanding child of the Mu family. Ever since he was young, he kept him by his side and carefully taught him. He was then sent to the Ling Long Palace. In addition, if what Yiqing Luo said was all true, this also meant that it was all thanks to the Palace of Darkness that the Mu family became a joke and ended up in such a situation. He still had to bend his knees and satisfy all the requests of the Dark Ghost Palace. Even those who still had a little bit of courage left. They probably wouldn't be able to endure such treatment. Yiqing Luo's eyes were as calm as Mount Tai, based on my, Yiqing Luo's identity. Her identity, Patriarch Mu was slightly stunned. He looked at the bright and flamboyant girl in front of him. The feeling in his heart was very complicated. Yiqing Luo's identity. Not only Yiqing Luo. The red-clothed war god who had once saved the land. She was also the fiancée of the Overlord, the future mistress of the Imperial Palace. Patriarch Mu's throat seemed to be choked by something. After a long while, he said bitterly, "Since I have already agreed to the conditions of the Palace of Darkness, I will not joke around with the lives of the Mu family." He took a deep breath. "Madam, you can't convince me." So, he looked at the guards surrounding him and said, "Go." His words were forceful and filled with determination. However, his tone was obviously a little weak. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes raised slightly. Her beautiful eyes were still calm and unperturbed. It was as if everything was under her control. It had no effect on her at all. "Don't worry." The girl smiled faintly and slowly walked toward the guards around her. Her red dress was as gorgeous as fire. The majestic aura caused people to feel admiration. The guards did not dare to step forward. Until the girl's footsteps stopped in the middle of the hall. Her clear eyes were fixated on Patriarch Mu as she said word by word, "I know that Patriarch Mu is an intelligent person." Patriarch Mu's brows twitched. Before he could open his mouth, the young lady in front of him suddenly turned into an afterimage. Everyone in the hall felt a cold breeze blowing against their faces. Where was the young lady's figure in front of them? End of this chapter. Chapter 4700. Patriarch Mu's face slightly froze. They followed the guards to the main hall. He saw that the young girl in the red dress had unknowingly appeared on the eaves of the Mu family's gate. The cold wind blew against her flame-like dress. Her black hair fluttered in the wind. With a smile and a frown, she was incomparably beautiful and bright. "Mu family head, it's not that I'm looking down on the Mu family, it's you who's looking down on me." After saying that, the girl leaped up. It disappeared in the wind. The guards swarmed to give chase. Master Mu spoke up and stopped them. "Forget it, we can't catch up. The girl dares to come to the Mu family alone." How could he not have prepared a way out? It was just as the girl had said. He underestimated her. They were totally unable to stop Yiqing Luo. After Yiqing Luo left the Mu family, she rushed towards the direction of the battlefield. She was not worried about Master Mu's choice. He didn't expect the Mu family's master to switch sides to the land. Of course, even if the Mu family changed sides, it would not have much of an effect on the current situation in the land. She just wanted to stop the Mu family master from helping the Palace of Darkness. Patriarch Mu was not a fool. After what she had just said. Of course, he would think about it and think about it carefully. The Mu family head chose the Umbra Palace for the sake of everyone in the Mu family. It was enough to show that Patriarch Mu attached great importance to relationships. If Mu Qiulan had really died because of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows, then Mu Qiulan's ending. That would be the end of the Mu family. It didn't matter if the Mu family stood on the land domain side or if they helped the Netherworld Palace. After the war between the two planes ended, everyone in the Mu family will end up like Mu Qiulan. As long as Master Mu's brain wasn't damaged, he would never listen to the arrangements of the Palace of Darkness without any scruples. In this way, Yiqing Luo's motive for coming to the Mu family had been achieved. The battlefield of the Heavenly Realm and the Earth Realm. The Earth Realm was aggressive and full of fighting spirit. It actually suppressed the Heavenly Realm by a notch. The arrogance of the Earth Realm grew stronger as they fought. It was as if he had suddenly found his backbone and became extremely resolute and fearless. After fighting for a while in the Heaven Realm, he could sense that the land was different. On the Ren family side, someone immediately went to the camp and reported the situation. A low, clear, and icy voice sounded from within the camp. The land faction is getting more and more courageous as the battle progresses. The representative of the Ren family shivered and knelt on the ground, not daring to respond. Soon, the curtains of the camp were pulled open by a slender hand. A tall figure shrouded in a mysterious black robe walked out. When that figure appeared, the surroundings had sunk into an icy cold. It was as if the air was covered in frost. Everyone in the Heaven Realm trembled as they held their breaths and knelt on the ground. It was obvious that he was extremely afraid of this black-robed man. You're just a bunch of ants. No matter how much you jump, it's of no use. The black-robed man sneered, and his tone was cold and mocking. He waved his sleeve. A cold wind blew. Dense mysterious yin qi slowly spread out. Soon after, a pitch-black shadow appeared in the mysterious yin qi. The sudden appearance of this person was strange and frightening. The people in the Heaven Realm just took a glance and didn't dare to look up again. The group of ants in the Earth Realm struggling at death's door, no matter what backbone they have, just break it. The black-robed man sneered sinisterly. Wu Chen, let those people feel what true despair is. That pitch-black shadow bowed slightly, yes. The black-robed man laughed sinisterly. And the person who was called Wu Chen, after responding, suddenly turned into a cloud of black smoke and disappeared in front of everyone. At the end of this chapter, watch Start Zue new chapter section. Please arrive Tang Ku Shop, mobile address. Chapter 4701. On the battlefield, the battle cries were heard incessantly. The war drums thundered as the flames of war blazed continuously. Blood stained the ground. After the Earth Realm's morale rose, Heaven Realm gradually retreated. This retreat. The Earth Realm's morale rose. Kill. Defend our territory. The Earth Realm soldiers cried out deafeningly, as though it could shake the heavens and earth. The World Group's brothers stood right in front of the battlefield, riding on their magical beasts as they looked towards the Heaven Realm side, their brows were filled with determination. Everyone exchanged glances. All of them saw the same excitement in each other's eyes. It looked like no matter if it was the Nirvana Realm or the Earth Realm, their Madame Qing Luo had always been their pillar of support. As long as Madame Qing Luo was around. Even if she didn't do anything. However, it allowed everyone to charge forward without any hesitation. Because they believed in Yiqing Luo. They believed that no matter what the outcome was, Yiqing Luo would definitely create a miracle. Everyone in the World Group had already formed a perverted worship towards Yiqing Luo. No one could destroy their belief. Just as everyone was filled with confidence, preparing to take down the territory in one go. Heaven Realm side suddenly cried out in shock. The Heaven Realm soldiers all revealed an ecstatic expression. The Earth Realm's people sensed that something was amiss. Immediately following that, they saw a pitch-black figure descending from the sky. Standing right in the middle of the battlefield. What monster is that? No, something's wrong. That figure's body is filled with dense profound yin qi. So scary. I can't even see his face. The Earth Realm's people looked at the sudden appearance of the black figure as their eyes revealed an astonished expression. That figure was like an evil spirit which had crawled out from the darkness of hell. Extremely horrified. Especially when they saw that bunch of guards from Heaven Realm were filled with reverence and fear towards that black figure. The Earth Realm's people sensed that something was amiss. Following that. After that black figure joined the battlefield. The entire battlefield indeed started to turn around. The Earth Realm soldiers whose morale had risen were instantly counterattacked by the Heaven Realm. Whereas that black figure's attacks were extremely vicious. It seemed as though it tore anyone it saw into shreds with its bare hands. His methods were sharp and vicious. Blood filled the sky as flesh and blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely horrifying. Moreover, the black figure totally didn't know fatigue. The moment he caught someone, he would tear them apart. Even the group of people from the Heaven Realm were frightened by this fierce battle method. They were both excited and afraid, not daring to approach the shadow. The battlefield had turned into a true Azura battlefield. When had the soldiers of the Earth Domain ever seen such a scene? He was scared out of his wits. The advantage that the Land Domain had just established collapsed once again. Wherever the black shadow went, it turned into a sea of blood. Even for the World Group, it was their first time seeing such a fierce fighting style. Be careful. A member of the World Group grabbed onto another person as they avoided the black figure's attack. Everyone carefully avoided the black shadow, trying their best to ensure that they would not get hurt. What kind of monster is this? To actually use a single person's strength to fight against an entire army. The World Group shouted out in shock. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he could fight against an army of thousands alone. The appearance of this black shadow completely reversed the entire situation of the battle. Ha ha ha. A bunch of ants from the Earth Domain finally don't dare to jump around anymore. Go. Let's kill this bunch of ants. Lowly people from the Earth Domain, you dare to fight with us? The Heaven Realm people also gained confidence. The few young people from the Ren family who had been suppressing their anger during the first few battles finally had a chance to vent it out. Chapter 4702. Whereas on the Earth Realm side, it was because of the appearance of the Black Shadow. Their originally soaring morale had turned into panic and fear. They were easily shaken. Everyone in the World Group's expressions were solemn as they looked at that black shadow who had wiped out the entire army, as their hearts were filled with uncontrollable shock. But they couldn't show it on their faces. This black shadow. It was really too scary. He was totally a killing machine. He only knew how to kill. He totally disregarded himself as the pitch-black shadow was covered with a large amount of blood. In a split second. This war, which was originally led by the Earth Realm, had turned into a huge loss. Everyone in the World Group's expressions sunk as they clenched their teeth tightly as they cried out sternly, "Everyone, don't panic, let's unite together. This person definitely has a way to deal with us. If we panic, then we'll be giving the opponent a chance. Bring out the morale from our earlier battle, get into formation. As long as we drag till Madame Qing Luo rushes over, we'll have a chance to win." Sonorous and forceful roars were heard. But it didn't make the Earth Realm's people listen to them. Especially the last sentence, it seemed as though it had poked the point of their rage while they were escaping in fear. There were also those who were escaping from the Earth realm who were cursing angrily. "You're not afraid, doesn't mean that we're not afraid of that monster. How can we possibly deal with him? By the time you find a way to deal with him, we'll all be dead." "What red-robed war god, Pui? He doesn't even dare to go onto the battlefield, pushing you bunch of yellow-haired brats up. Who do you think you are? Just don't dare to go onto the battlefield, pretending to be some powerful big shot, only daring to stay in a safe territory, arrogantly chasing people away, but not daring to go onto the battlefield to kill the enemy." Momentarily, the battlefield was filled with insults towards Yiqing Luo. As though they were venting all the fear in their hearts and the rage from being tortured by the Black Shadow onto Yiqing Luo. When the world group heard that, they were so infuriated that their faces flushed red. As Yiqing Luo's diehard fan, Ni Ruopan was the first to turn red. "Madame Qing Luo didn't come to the battlefield, she naturally has her own plans." "You guys don't know anything, on what basis do you have to say that about her? Plans? I think she's just afraid to go onto the battlefield." Someone sneered. "You all." Ni Ruopan was so angry that her eyes turned red, but her brain couldn't think a single word of insults. Baiming Lulu pulled Ni Ruopan behind her and used her small body to block Ni Ruopan. His gaze towards those people from the Earth realm turned cold. "Since you don't believe in Qing Luo's ability, then there's no need for us to stand here." Finishing her words, Baiming Lulu waved her hand and called out to the world group's people to leave. The Linglong Palace's disciples naturally followed behind the world group. The main force left the battlefield midway. This is very bad for the situation. Immediately, some of the powers panicked. What kind of joke is this? We're in the middle of a great battle. You want to leave just like that? As expected of a group of brats. They don't know the rules at all. The war hasn't ended yet, what right do you have to leave? The faces of the world group turned uglier and uglier. The speed at which the Black Shadow slaughtered was getting faster and faster. He was still in a daze. In the blink of an eye, he had already killed his way to the front of some of the forces. Fear in the face of the shadow. "We are not people from the Earth domain. What does the Earth domain have to do with us? If we help you, it is a favor. If we don't help you, it is our duty. Since you look down on us children, why do you need to rely on our strength?" Because of my body, I have been adjusting my sleep schedule recently. The babies who are familiar with Master Mo would know that I had been flipping day and night, causing my body to be unable to take it. My spine, stomach, kidneys, endocrine and other bodily functions are getting weaker and weaker. Maybe after sitting in front of the computer for a while. My ears are buzzing and my head is spinning. My eyes would suddenly turn black and I would quickly wake up. Adding on to my age, I'm not considered young anymore. My body isn't as good as before. The doctor strongly reminded me not to stay up late and my mother is keeping a close eye on me. I've been pulling all-nighters for about a year. My body's habits make it so that I can't sleep at night. When I finally fall asleep and it's daytime, my mother would force me to wake up. I can only rely on food and habits to sleep at night. Adding on to the fact that I'm updating 2 books at the same time, I've been in a drowsy state during the day. I can only reduce my updates. Reducing updates means that my income will drop and that I'll lose the right to receive the full attendance award. There are many things that I'll lose, including a portion of you who have been supporting me until now. But for the sake of my body, I can only choose this. I hope that the babies can understand. The body is your own, so everyone must take care of your body and sleep early and wake up early. Don't think that it doesn't matter just because you're young. That's what I thought in the past. As a result, my body is even worse than a 30 to 40-year-old person. My last sentence, I'm only updating less, but I definitely won't stop updating. Once I've adjusted myself, I'll immediately resume updating 4 chapters. End of this chapter. Watch Start Zue new chapter section. Please arrive Tang Ku shop, mobile address. Chapter 4703. A portion of the Earth domain powerhouses were speechless. Wild Sand Literature Network, but there were still people who were pestering endlessly. When they saw the black figure getting closer, they pounced towards the world group in fear. This is a battlefield, how can you leave as you wish? You want to leave? Then leave from hell. They intentionally lured the black figure towards the world group. Because, a portion of the powerhouses noticed. Ever since the black figure appeared, it had been crazily killing the people of the Earth domain. But it did not harm the people of the world group at all. A portion of the Earth domain's small powerhouses were infuriated when they heard the world group's arrogant words. No matter what, they had to drag that bunch of brats of the world group into the water. Rupen and the rest's faces sunk as they scolded silently, looking at the person pouncing towards them. Without any expression, he directly raised his leg and kicked out a profound wave. The formless profound wave sent those people from the small powerhouses flying. The black figure was right behind. Those people from the small powerhouses didn't even have the chance to cry out in pain. They were torn into pieces by the black figure. But, the black figure's target was because of this. The world group and the rest. Damn it! Scatter and escape. Bai Ming Lu's face congealed as she immediately shouted, then blame it on my target, he's facing us. The people of the world group immediately scattered and escaped in all directions. The black figure chased in a straight line. The direction it was chasing towards was Rupen's direction. The black figure's speed was extremely fast. Flying upwards, there was no chance for them to react at all. Rupen's wrist was already grabbed by the black figure. The cold touch caused Rupen to shiver. Following that, the black figure's other hand also landed on Rupen. Was she going to be torn into pieces? Rupen's heart instantly jumped to her throat. She was tense and stiff as she wanted to break free. She couldn't use any strength at all. She could only see the black figure's pair of bloodthirsty and cold eyes. Bam! Suddenly, a powerful and majestic profound energy chopped down. The bewitching red glow was extremely sharp. The black figure sensed the danger and stopped the movement of his arms as he turned his head fiercely. In the blink of an eye, a figure appeared. A red figure flashed past. The black figure's hand became lighter. Rupen had broken free from the shadow's control. Roar, roar, a furious roar came from the mouth of the black shadow. The shadow angrily pounded the ground. The entire battlefield was shaking. The despair of being on the verge of death and the pain he had imagined did not strike him. Rupen felt warmth in her heart. A comforting fragrance wafted into his nostrils. She suddenly opened her eyes. His eyes met with a pair of enchanting eyes. Madam. Qing Luo. Rupen's voice was stuck in her throat. Her eyes quickly turned red. She stared blankly at the girl in front of her. Profound waves rippled and blood splattered all over the sky. The girl's face was still as beautiful as ever, as if she was a fairy from the ninth heaven who had descended to the mortal world. She wrapped an arm around her waist and stood in the air. Her red dress fluttered in the air. Rupen's tensed heart was completely relieved at this moment. It was her. Madame Qing Luo had arrived. Madame Qing Luo saved her once again. Alright, everything is fine now. The girl's pink lips curled into a warm smile. When she landed, she placed Rupen gently on the ground. Rupen stared at Qing Luo in a daze, unwilling to shift her gaze away. Fight like how you usually do. Leave that thing to me. Qing Luo's clear voice rang in the battlefield. She turned her back and looked at the shadow who was roaring furiously. Her sleeves fluttered in the wind, calm and collected. Speak my mind, I'm a full-time worker and rely on writing for a living. The reason I'm writing a new book and updating 2 books at the same time is because the website's free period is at least 3 months, and it might even be 5 to 6 months. If I finish the old book and start a new one, it means I won't have any income for 3 to 6 months. Moreover, there's a very practical problem. I can't guarantee that my new book will be liked by everyone. If the new book is not liked by the readers, it means that my new book will only have a meager income. I don't dare to gamble because I have a big family to feed and because I need to make a living. Actually, most of the authors are the same. When the old novel is about to end, they will start a new book and update at the same time. I'm just unlucky that after I started the new book, something happened to the website which led to the decrease in updates. I have even less updates and my income is destined to be lesser. Unless there's a hole in my brain, I don't want to write more words to earn more money. I'm not complaining about anything, I just want to tell everyone the reason. It's because everyone likes what I've written, that's why you keep following me and supporting me till now. Using old Shui's words, without you, I, Zo-mo, am nothing. You have the right to know the reason why I have so little updates. I'm very happy that you can understand me. I will try my best to adjust and try to resume updating the 4 chapters as soon as possible. Chapter 4704. That monster is reared by witchcraft. A flat mechanical voice was heard from behind. Yiqing Luo turned around and saw Mo Yuing, who was dressed in a pink dress, walking over expressionlessly. Yiqing Luo's eyes congealed slightly as she looked at that black shadow which was slaughtering a portion of the Earth Domain's forces. Isn't old Wu's witchcraft not yet refined successfully? Could it be that the old Wu whom she met previously was really fake? I don't know. Mo Yuing shook her head stiffly as her eyes were without any ripples. It has the evil qi of witchcraft on it. I got it. Yiqing Luo's fingertips flashed with a brilliant red glow as the glower flame fan appeared in between her slender fingers. I'll go meet it. Qing Luo. Bei Ming Lu took a look at those people whose eyes were filled with hope as they looked towards Yiqing Luo with a sunken face. That bunch of people from Earth Realm, don't think highly of us bunch of wimpy kids from Nirvana Realm. Since they don't trust our ability, then why should we help them? Apparently, Baiming Lu was still upset over what those Earth Domain's small powerhouses said. The other forces hurriedly opened their mouths. How could we possibly not trust you? Imperial Madam, you must save all of us. Previously you could save the Earth Domain, now you can definitely save us too. Yiqing Luo can't afford to ask for your help. Yiqing Luo only rely on the Overlord, and now that the Overlord isn't around, how could we possibly save you, right? The other brothers in the world group also used their words to stab them. A portion of the Earth Domain's forces were angry and frustrated, but at the moment of life and death, they could only bear with the bunch of brats' humiliation as they spoke out in a low voice. How would we dare to question Imperial Madam's ability? Imperial Madam had once saved our Earth Domain, she's our benefactor. Everyone in the world group chuckled coldly. While they were speaking out one after another. No one bothered about those Earth Domain's people who were enraged by the Black Shadow and started killing each other. Whereas some of the Earth Domain's forces' expressions turned uglier and uglier. And more terrified. There were some who directly knelt on the ground, begging Yiqing Luo to help. Yiqing Luo's appearance. It made those kids in the world group who were protective, to vent out all the resentment in their hearts. They'll show up here. It was all because of the word love. Friendship, it was just friendship. But in the eyes of these unimportant people, she had become a natural sacrifice. Why? As they said, they were just a group of young children. He had no obligation to risk his life for them. It was one thing to humiliate them. Unfortunately, they had also humiliated Yiqing Luo. During the previous war in the land, they were not present. However, he had heard Xiao Yinyan and Mo Yueying talk about the situation back then. Yiqing Luo had relied on her own power to save the Earth Domain from the abyss of suffering. Whereas these people still had the cheek to accuse Yiqing Luo of not appearing on the battlefield because she was afraid. And he kept on saying that Yiqing Luo had relied on the Overlord to get to where she was today. They couldn't take it anymore. Yiqing Luo naturally knew that these brothers were feeling unjust for her. She smiled lightly as her pink lips curled upwards, as her gaze towards the crowd was extremely gentle. All right, we're standing here, not because of them. No matter where, no matter what, there will inevitably be this kind of contrarians or selfish people. But at the same time, there are people who really want to protect this piece of land. Since I've come to the Earth Domain and promised City Lord Xiao, then I will definitely keep to my promise. Yiqing Luo's gaze slowly shifted towards that side, towards those people who were trembling because of the black shadow, begging for mercy towards Yiqing Luo's direction. The glint in her eyes became eerily cold and severe. Chapter 4705. As for whether you live or die, it has nothing to do with me. She slowly walked forward. Her fiery dress fluttered. Like a blooming rose in flames, bright and ostentatious. Boundless profound strength encircled the young girl's body. Her fingertips moved and a hurricane struck towards the black shadow. Instantly, it attracted the black shadow's attention. The young lady's cold and seductive voice slowly reverberated in the air. I made a move, not because I want to save you, so I don't need your gratitude. If you want to live, then pick up your weapons and win this battle. Saying that, the young lady's figure moved. She leapt up and attacked towards the direction of the black shadow. The world group's people didn't really intend to wash their hands of this. Yiqing Luo made her move. Everyone had already adjusted their state and as swift as usual, they mobilized the Earth Realm soldiers and started a fierce battle. The other forces in the Earth Realm raised their heads to look at the ostentatious figure who stood in mid-air as she faced the black shadow with a normal expression. A devastatingly beautiful young lady was emitting a cold and majestic aura. Noble and elegant, aloof and cold. As though she was above the 9 heavens, her arrogance was resolute, overlooking all living beings. Only looking at her, endless confidence arose in her heart. The contrarian had no mood to continue arguing. At the same time as Yiqing Luo closed in on the black shadow, the black shadow's target also turned towards her. Both sides were soon engaged in battle. This black shadow's ability was indeed very strong. It was similar to the experimental product which Yiqing Luo had seen at Old Wu's place. The black shadow's power was like a wild beast. Vigorous and tireless. Totally using brute force, it tore apart everyone who stood in front of it. No matter how strong the cultivator was, they couldn't withstand a single move from it. Although it was similar, but in actual fact it was very different. The black shadow in front of her should be a finished product refined from witchcraft. As compared to the experimental product which she had seen before, it was much more active and powerful. And it was more human-like. At least, when it exchanged blows with her. The black shadow was like a human, it knew how to dodge and attack. But ever since Yiqing Luo appeared and attracted the black shadow's attention, and after exchanging over 10 moves with the black shadow, the pressure on the Earth Realm side had finally lessened. Each and every one of their gazes towards Yiqing Luo were filled with astonishment. Wherever that black shadow went, no matter how powerful the profound practitioners were, they were torn to shreds without any room for resistance. Whereas Empress Madame Yiqing Luo was able to exchange blows with the black shadow without any change in expression, and was extremely relaxed. Was this the difference between them and Madame D? The hearts of the crowd were shocked. Many people from the forces felt ashamed of their actions not long ago. Bang! There was an explosion of profound waves. A domineering aura exploded in the battlefield. The young girl's fiery figure flew up, the devouring flame fan in her hand turned into a fire dragon and swept out. The black shadow roared, and wisps of evil chi shot out from his pitch-black, ruthless eyes. It lunged violently at the young girl. The young girl flipped her hand and swept away the fire dragon. She opened her bloody mouth and bit towards the shadow. The power of both sides instantly came to a deadlock in midair. The Xian waves rippled violently. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. Rumble. The ground of the battlefield split open. Countless boulders flew everywhere. The fluctuation of dark force shook the entire battlefield. At the same time, the fluctuation created by Yi Qing Luo and the Black Shadow shocked the cultivators from both heaven and earth. But the World Group's youngsters were already used to the situation created by Yi Qing Luo. Just as the battlefield was shaking violently, they were even more ferocious as they led a bunch of brothers, Linglong Palace and the Earth Realm soldiers as they charged forward. While the Heaven Realm was still in a daze, they killed them off guard. The battle situation turned around once again. And after 2 incense sticks later, Yi Qing Luo also successfully stepped on the Black Shadow. Endless evil chi oozed out from the Black Shadow's body. It turned into strands of fine threads, winding towards Yi Qing Luo's legs, adding up to close to 200 words. This chapter ended. Viewing starting event Zue new chapter section please arrive Tang Ku shop, mobile address. Chapter 4706. But it was quickly dispersed by Yi Qing Luo's demonic red glow. The black figure let out an angry roar. Its pitch-black pupils were filled with viciousness as it stared at Yi Qing Luo. Its body twisted as it struggled, trying to break free from Yi Qing Luo's restraint. Yi Qing Luo's eyes drooped slightly as her long and narrow eyes stared deeply at the black figure. Her pink lips rose as she sneered coldly, "Don't waste your energy, your profound yin chi has no effect on me." Ever since she settled the corpse puppets refined by the Nether Palace. After the glower flame fan swallowed the Nether energy towards the Nether Palace's evil chi, it had no effect on her. Not only was there no effect, it could even purify the profound yin chi. Especially, with her current ability, she had nothing to fear against the profound yin chi. Adding on to the Azure Water Divine Weapon and Azure Dew Bracelet. Towards the profound yin chi, there was nothing to fear. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo had easily subdued that monster who could annihilate an entire army, the morale of the people from the Earth Realm soared again. One by one, they started to shout the name Red-Robed War God. Sonorous and forceful shouts rang out. It made the atmosphere of the entire battlefield start to change. The black figure roared unwillingly. But it couldn't escape from Yi Qing Luo's restraint. After that, Yi Qing Luo's fingertips moved slightly as the demonic profound glow was released from the glower flame fan. It turned into a sharp blade as it directly cut the black figure into two. Bam! At the moment when the black figure was cut into two, endless black gas quickly spread out and filled the air. The thick evil chi of witchcraft spread throughout the entire battlefield. When the Heaven Realm side saw this, they were delighted. But before the smile bloomed on his lips, only to see that red-robed young lady suddenly leaped up. A blazing vermilion bird spread its wings and flew high. The phoenix feather was overflowing with colors as it dazzled with brilliant sparks. The young lady stepped on the vermilion bird's back as she stood facing the sky. Clang! The vermilion bird's mouth spat out a blazing flame as it burned towards the surroundings of the battlefield. Everywhere it went, it was set ablaze with raging flames. After the shock, the people from the Earth Realm, they were frightened by the burning flames as they scurried around. However, after coming into contact with the blazing flames, they all stopped panicking. The flames looked like they were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, burning the earth. But in reality, it did not affect them at all. On the contrary, after coming into contact with the flames, they felt as if their souls had been purified. However, looking at the Heaven Realm, When it came into contact with the flames, it was quickly engulfed by the flames and turned into thick black smoke. Ah! Blood-curdling screams rang out one after another. After the fire burned, the witchcraft evil aura released by the black shadow was also instantly devoured. The girl stood on the vermilion bird's back, her clear voice echoing throughout the entire battlefield. This is the vermilion bird's raging flames. It can purify all darkness in the world, and those who have evil energy or yin energy in their bodies will be purified by the raging flames. Therefore, in the land domain, those who had not come into contact with the netherworld palace would not be engulfed by the flames. As for the heaven realm, especially the Ren family's forces, they had long been assimilated by the palace of abyss. Naturally, it would be incinerated by the blazing flames and burned to ashes. The black shadow was removed. The divine beast had appeared. This was a great encouragement to the land. Clap clap clap, a burst of applause was extremely abrupt in the tense battlefield. The screams from the heaven realm were incessant. A black figure slowly appeared from the heaven realm. That person was completely standing in the air. Thick profound yin qi gathered under his feet, lifting that person into the air. A black robe was fluttering under the hurricane. That person's height happened to be at the same level as Yiqing Luo. That person stroked his palm lightly, his tone was cold and teasing. "You are indeed the imperial madam, my most trusted toy, so easily destroyed." That voice was extremely cold. Yiqing Luo only felt a chill from the top of her head when she heard it. Her pupils shrank slightly. She didn't know if it was an illusion. She felt that voice was extremely familiar. Chapter 4707. The two of them stood face to face. Both of their auras surged, as though it was gathering a terrifying profound glow. Whoever made the first move would cause the entire battlefield to descend into a state of destruction. The appearance of the black-robed man made the battlefield stop for a few breaths' time. Following that, they started to fight again. But the Earth Realm's people couldn't help but pay attention to the sudden appearance of the black-robed man. What was his identity? Whereas for the Heaven Realm side, when they saw the black-robed man, their faces revealed a respectful and fearful expression. Baiming Lulu noticed the two people who were fighting against each other as her expression frowned. Who is that black-robed man? To be able to go against Madame Qing Luo, his status in the Heaven Realm shouldn't be low. Ni Ruopan spoke in a deep voice. Look at the Heaven Realm's people, the way they look at that person. Something is obviously not right. Baiming Lulu suppressed her voice as she solemnly reminded the rest of the world group, everyone must be careful and protect yourselves. You must not become Qing Luo's stumbling block. Yes. The world group shouted in unison. Their tone was sonorous and filled with confidence. Shadow, what's the matter? Xiao Yinyan stood beside Mo Yuying as he saw the little girl looking towards the horizon, not moving at all as he asked. Although others couldn't see any change in Mo Yuying's expression. But from Mo Yuying's emotions, he could feel what she wanted to express. For example now. Mo Yuying's emotions were congealed. As though, she knew that black-robed man. Very troublesome. Mo Yuying retracted her gaze as she spoke in an icy cold tone, Qing Luo might not be able to defeat him. Xiao Yinyan was stunned, even Luo can't defeat that person. Compared to the last time he met Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's ability had already improved by leaps and bounds. The current Yiqing Luo, even if she didn't release her profound energy. It was clear to everyone. Yiqing Luo's current ability was very strong. At least, it was above him. The minute Yiqing Luo appeared, she easily killed that black shadow monster. But Mo Yuying said. Yiqing Luo couldn't defeat that black-robed man? Then, that black-robed man. Just how strong was he? Mo Yinyan's gaze was calm as she spoke calmly, she can't defeat him to defeat him. Xiao Yinyan didn't understand what she meant. All the profound practitioners on the battlefield thought about it. The two people hovering in the air had already begun to attack at the same time, testing each other out. Yiqing Luo's speed was very fast, with the intention of probing. In addition, she looked at the black-robed man in front of her. He could vaguely feel that familiar feeling. In his mind, he kept searching. Who was this person? The black-robed man did not use his full strength. The two clasped their palms together. Step back from each other. The majestic profound wave shook the air. Yiqing Luo felt that her arm was slightly numb. And this person's strength, very powerful. It was so powerful that she couldn't help but tense up. The blood in his body was boiling with excitement. But what made Yiqing Luo felt strange was that she clearly felt an indescribable sense of familiarity when facing the black-robed man. However, when the two of them exchanged blows, that terrifying profound wave didn't give her the slightest feeling of familiarity. If she really knew such a powerful profound practitioner, it would be a miracle. How could she possibly not remember? No wonder you are the owner of the divine phoenix profound jade heart. The speed of your profound great advancement is extraordinary. The black-robed man's cold voice seemed to be mixed with some ridicule. It was obviously a compliment. But it made one shudder. End of this chapter. Chapter 4708. Yiqing Luo's pupils congealed, only feeling that the black-robed man's words concealed some deep meaning. She frowned. You know me? He knew that her profound rank was rising very quickly. He must have a clear understanding of her strength. That was why he was able to see the trend of her advancement after exchanging a single blow. The black-robed man cackled evilly. You can't even recognize my voice? That really makes me sad. The man sighed faintly. It was a sigh. A chill that made one's hair stand on end. Ah! Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream came from below. Immediately after, an uproar erupted in the land domain. What is this? What has entered my body? Saving me is a goo worm, a goo worm. Countless profound practitioners began to flee in all directions. The ground was densely packed with black shadows, scurrying around in the crowd. They were tiny, venomous insects. Witchcraft Yiqing Luo's pupils congealed as her gaze swiftly swept across the surroundings. Witchcraft the witch elder is nearby. Following the aura of witchcraft, Yiqing Luo immediately sensed that in the heaven realm, at the corner of the crowd, two black figures were carrying a large basin and pouring something onto the battlefield. Inside the basin, numerous goo worms crawled out. It quickly invaded the entire battlefield. Most shocking of all, that goo worm's original target was the people on the land domain side. While the profound practitioners of the earth realm were fleeing in a frenzy, and began to make no distinction between friend and foe, not a single profound practitioner from the heaven realm was spared. Screams immediately resounded throughout the battlefield. This scene made Yiqing Luo's eyes instantly darkened, as a cold glint appeared in her long and narrow charming eyes. She glared at the black-robed man. What are you doing? If the black-robed man's target was the earth domain, then, why can't witchcraft distinguish between friend and foe? Not only would the profound practitioners in the earth domain become beast-like puppets, but the heaven domain would also not be spared. Didn't the heaven realm also suffer heavy losses? The black-robed man had purposely said those words to her just to distract her. Thus, Elder Wu had the chance to release the voodoo goo. Yiqing Luo had personally witnessed the effects of these witchcraft spells. This was practically making the heaven and earth realms suffer. Are doomed to eternal damnation. Yiqing Luo's pupils went into a blank as she suddenly understood something. Your secluded darkness palace's aim, right from the start, is to deplete the heaven and earth realms' power, so as to unify the two realms. Ha ha ha, now that you know, it's not too late. The black-robed man laughed sinisterly. The goal of Gloomy Palace was to unify the two worlds from the start. Now, with the Ren family as the leader, they gathered the forces of the Heaven Realm and invaded the Earth Realm. Even if the invasion was successful. Ha ha ha, now that you know, it's not too late. The black-robed man laughed sinisterly. The goal of Gloomy Palace was to unify the two worlds from the start. Now, with the Ren family as the leader, they gathered the forces of the Heaven Realm and invaded the Earth Realm. Even if the invasion was successful. Ha ha ha, now that you know, it's not too late. The black-robed man laughed sinisterly. The goal of Gloomy Palace was to unify the two worlds from the start. Now, with the Ren family as the leader, they gathered the forces of the Heaven Realm and invaded the Earth Realm. Even if the invasion was successful. Ha ha ha, now that you know, it's not too late. The black-robed man laughed sinisterly. The goal of Gloomy Palace was to unify the two worlds from the start. Now, with the Ren family as the leader, they gathered the forces of the Heaven Realm and invaded the Earth Realm. Even if the invasion was successful. End of this chapter. Viewing the starting lineup. Zoe Shin Chaptr section. Please go to Tang Ku Shop, mobile address. Chapter 4709. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes as she looked at the bloodbath on the battlefield. Her expression was cold as she looked at the black-robed man. The chill in her eyes shot out. She clenched her slender fingers and temporarily stopped tangling with the black-robed man as she commanded the scarlet flame to spit out raging flames. The raging flames had a purifying effect. As long as it was tainted with the evil qi of the Nether Palace or the witchcraft evil qi, it would be purified. The raging flames burned the ground. Those cultivators from both sides who were corroded by the goo worms were instantly burnt into ashes. Wails and screams rang out one after another. The goo worms on the ground also stopped wriggling under the burning of the fire. It also gave the other cultivators who had not been corroded by the goo worms a chance to catch their breath. Ha! The black-robed man laughed softly when he saw this. Do you think this can stop me? The black-robed man didn't take the opportunity to approach her. Instead, he calmly floated in the air and stepped on the mysterious yin qi that had gathered. His sleeves moved. A blue figure suddenly flew out from the Heaven Realm and was sucked into the black-robed man's palm. The black-robed man lifted that person up as his lips curled into a cold and sinister arc. Yiqing Luo, I know your weakness too well, now. Can you still continue to let your scarlet flame release its raging flames without any scruples? That figure that was lifted up high was reflected in Yiqing Luo's eyes. The action of commanding the scarlet flame to spit out raging flames suddenly stopped. Her eyes widened as the veins on her forehead popped out. Ziqing. The person who was held in the black-robed man's hand was Tong Ziqing. She was in a sorry state and was riddled with injuries as she hung in the black-robed man's hand. There was also blood dripping down from her fingertips. What made Yiqing Luo's eyes widen as she bared her teeth in anger was Tong Ziqing's current state was like those beast puppets who were controlled by witchcraft. No. It was different. Those cultivators who were corroded by witchcraft only had endless killing and bloodthirst in their eyes. They were like wild beasts. As for Tong Ziqing, although her eyes were filled with a thick bloodthirsty aura, but her actions didn't look like she had transformed into a beast. But Tong Ziqing could feel the power from the witchcraft. If the raging flames continued to burn, the black-robed man threw Tong Ziqing into the fire. Tong Ziqing would also be burnt to ashes. Damn it! Yiqing Luo stopped the scarlet flame as her face turned slightly pale. She gritted her teeth and looked at the black-robed man. Release Ziqing. Ziqing followed Zhu Wuxin and disappeared. Yiqing Luo could more or less guess that Tong Ziqing could possibly be made use of by the secluded palace. However, there was still some hope in his heart. Unexpectedly, the secluded darkness palace finally caught Tong Ziqing. The blazing flames were extinguished, and the witchcraft and goo worms crawled around wantonly again. On the battlefield, screams rang out incessantly, "Madam D. Help! Help! Madam, save us, we don't want to die. Monarch madam, you can't kill all of us for a woman." Those people were begging for help in panic. To deal with these witchcraft goo worms, only Yiqing Luo's battle pet could do so. However, no matter how much they screamed at the top of their lungs, Yiqing Luo wasn't moved at all. Her icy cold eyes were fixated on the black-robed man without blinking. She was unable to ignore Tong Ziqing's life and death. Tong Ziqing was her brother. Everyone in the world group looked at Tong Ziqing and Yiqing Luo with complicated feelings. The world and righteousness, two difficult choices. No matter which side they chose, their hearts would be uneasy. Ha ha ha. Yiqing Luo, your weakness is that you are too easily controlled by others. The black-robed man looked at the miserable screams and curses below, looking at the young lady's solemn and cold look, as he couldn't help but laughed out loudly. Chapter 47:10. Knowing your weakness, it will be easier to target you. The black-robed man threw the lady in his hands towards Yiqing Luo's direction. That blue figure was like a paper kite with a broken string, as it fell down loosely. Yiqing Luo subconsciously wanted to catch it. But the minute she got close, that weak and battered-looking lady suddenly raised her head. A pair of vicious and savage eyes like a wild beast, making Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt as though it was being strangled by someone. Because of the shock, she had yet to regain her senses. Qi Yan's sharp mouth had already bit her collar as he threw her onto his back and suddenly flew towards the sky. Tong Ziqing's attack hit thin air. A loud bam was heard. The entire ground cracked open as a huge black hole was formed. If Qi Yan's actions were slightly delayed by a moment, Yiqing Luo was either dead or crippled now. That huge black hole made the world group's expressions change greatly as all of their gazes towards Tong Ziqing were filled with disbelief. Tong Ziqing actually laid her hands on Yiqing Luo? Was Tong Ziqing crazy? Yiqing Luo, who had fallen onto Qi Yan's back, her fair fingers clenched tightly into a ball. Her eyes shot out a biting cold frost. Secluded palace wasn't one long yunjian enough? Now they wanted to use Tong Ziqing to repeat the same trick. Was this because they had found out her weakness? It was modified within half an hour. Knowing your weakness makes it easier to target you. The black-robed man threw the lady in his hands towards Yiqing Luo's direction. That blue figure was like a paper kite with a broken string as it fell down loosely. Yiqing Luo subconsciously wanted to catch it. But the minute she got close, that weak and battered-looking lady suddenly raised her head. A pair of vicious and savage eyes like a wild beast, making Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt as though it was being strangled by someone. As she was shocked, she had yet to regain her senses. Qi Yan's sharp mouth had already bit her collar as he threw her onto his back and suddenly flew up into the sky. Tong Ziqing's attack hit thin air. A loud bam was heard. The entire ground suddenly split open as a huge black hole was formed. If Qi Yan's actions were slightly delayed, he was afraid that if Yiqing Luo didn't die, she would be crippled. That enormous black hole caused the world group's faces to change drastically as all of their gazes towards Tong Ziqing were filled with disbelief. Tong Ziqing actually laid her hands on Yiqing Luo. Is Tong Ziqing crazy? Yiqing Luo, who had fallen on Qi Yan's back, clenched her delicate 5 fingers tightly. A piercingly cold light shot out from his eyes. Abyssal Palisaya sent one long yunjian enough? Now, he still wanted to use Tong Ziqing, repeating the same old trick. Was he taking advantage of her weakness? Now that I know your weakness, it will be easier to target you. The black-robed man threw the lady in his hand towards Yiqing Luo's direction. That blue figure, like a kite with a broken string, fell down loosely. Yiqing Luo subconsciously wanted to take it. But as soon as he got closer, the weak and battered woman suddenly raised her head. A pair of eyes like those of a wild beast. It made Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt as though it was being strangled by someone. As she was shocked, she still hadn't regained her senses. Qi Yan's sharp mouth had already bit her collar as he threw her onto his back and suddenly flew up into the sky. Tong Zi Qing's attack hit thin air. A loud bam was heard. The entire ground suddenly split open as a huge black hole was formed. This chapter end viewing first episode Zue new chapter section please arrive Tang Ku Company, mobile address. Chapter 47:11. The black-robed man snorted coldly and looked up at the young lady. Yiqing Luo, don't play tricks in front of me, your moves are useless in front of me. Her words had yet to finish. The black-robed man suddenly felt a chill on his face. The black cloak covering his head was torn apart in a split second. The black-robed man's words came to an abrupt halt. The expression on his face suddenly froze on his face. Since you are so powerful, why hide in front of me, why not? Let me see, who exactly are you, a mouse hiding in the dark? The young lady's icy cold voice sounded quietly. The black-robed man's body stiffened. Thick black qi spread out from his body. No. Yiqing Luo's attack earlier was not to take the opportunity to kill him. Her real target was the black cloak on his head. When the glower flame fan attacked him, she was just deliberately attracting his attention. But in fact, the glower flame fan had already seized the opportunity and completely shattered his black cloak. Profound waves rippled. The strong wind whistled. The black cloak shredded and spread in the sky. The face under the black robe was reflected in Yiqing Luo's pupils. The expression on Yiqing Luo's face, slowly stiffened, bit by bit stunned, bit by bit, turned into an unbelievable shock. The surroundings seemed to be still. Only she and the black-robed man's four eyes met, staring at each other in a daze. Yiqing Luo didn't know how to describe her current feelings. Her heart kept tightening, somewhat suffocating. After a long time, her eyelashes trembled slightly. Her pink lips moved slightly but she couldn't spit out a word. "Heh, I was careless." The black-robed man slowly raised his hand and touched his face as he snorted lightly. But there was no panic or other emotions from being recognized. That pair of deep black eyes seemed to be quenched with ice as he looked at her mockingly. "Why, didn't you want to see who I am? Now that your wish has been fulfilled, your expression doesn't look happy." Yiqing Luo still didn't speak. Her eyes stared at the person in front of her. Her throat tightened. She wanted to speak but couldn't say a word. She had never thought the black-robed man in front of him was actually him. When the world group saw the true face of the black-robed man, they were so shocked that they could not close their mouths. They couldn't believe their eyes. Aren't you the young master of Wind Valley sect, Gu Jingyu? Why are you here? There are rumors in the Nirvana realm that the young sect master of the Wind Valley sect has disappeared. So he joined the Dark Nether Palace. What's going on? Why would the young master of the Wind Valley sect appear in the Heaven realm? Everyone in the world group had seen this black-robed man before. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't connect the black-robed man with the man who was as gentle as jade. The world group was in an uproar. Yiqing Luo took some time before she slowly found back her voice. Her eyes darkened and her voice tightened. "Why, is it you?" From the moment he saw the black-robed man, he felt an indescribable sense of familiarity. She was also suspicious of the black-robed man calling himself this Empress. But she had never linked this man in front of her with Gu Jingyu. Because the Gu Jingyu she knew would absolutely not be so cold and emotionless, flamboyant and arrogant. Absolutely not. So hateful. Why can't it be this Empress? The black-robed man. Who was Gu Jingyu? His thin lips curled upwards as he gave a ridiculing smile. Just because you feel that this Empress likes you, so. It can't be this Empress. Chapter 47:12. I don't mean it in that way. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers clenched tightly. I just can't believe that the Gu Jingyu in my memory who had always maintained his kind nature even though he was in the Palace of Gloom, had turned into such a state. The girl's voice trembled slightly. He looked at the familiar face in front of him. His heart felt as if it was being tightly gripped by someone. Except for Dmo Xian. She had never thought that she could act unscrupulously just because someone liked her. Gu Jingyu was the palace master of the Dark Palace on the surface. But he had never really done anything cruel and ruthless. Even it was related to her. He would do everything he could to protect her from any harm. But Gu Jingyu was different. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness and indifference. It was as if all life in the world was not worth mentioning in his eyes. Even more so the way he looked at her was also mocking and cold. The tenderness she once had was nowhere to be seen. It wasn't that she wanted Gu Jingyu to be gentle to her. This Gu Jingyu was too unfamiliar. Unfamiliar, Yiqing Luo almost felt that this Gu Jingyu was an impostor sent by the secluded palace. Ha ha ha, kind. When Gu Jingyu heard Yiqing Luo's choice of words, she laughed exaggeratedly. Yiqing Luo, do you have some misunderstanding towards me? I'm the mistress of secluded Darkness Palace and you're telling me that you're kind, what a joke. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips tightly, as her charming eyes gazed deeply at Gu Jingyu's face which was laughing wildly, as her tone was firm and calm. Right, kind. The Gu Jingyu I know is still kind even though he is the palace master of the Netherworld Palace. Her gaze gradually turned cold. So, who are you? Yiqing Luo's suspicions didn't make Gu Jingyu have too much of a change in his emotions. He merely curled his thin lips into a mischievous smile that seemed to carry a hint of mockery. What? Could it be that you're using this method to make yourself feel better? I don't care what you think. Anyway, all of you, except for you, will die here today. The evil aura around Gu Jingyu's body seemed to have dyed his gentle jade-like face a little distorted. His words and tone were cold and treacherous. He totally didn't care who Yiqing Luo treated him as. He was so magnanimous and unbridled. It made Yiqing Luo's heart feel suffocated for a moment. In fact, she really couldn't prove that the Gu Jingyu opposite her was fake. Especially when she saw his calm expression, which didn't change at all. Yiqing Luo started to doubt if her guess was right or not. Gu Jingyu was the palace master of the Dark Palace on the surface. How could the Palace of Darkness let someone pretend to be the palace master on the surface? The risk was too great. So, the person in front of him was really Gu Jingyu. Ming not long ago. In order to save her, Gu Jingyu specially came to save her while the people behind the Palace of Darkness were busy. Why, all of a sudden, become like this? This was what Gu Jingyu had said at that time. Will we be strangers when we meet again? To Gu Jingyu, was she just a target that the Palace of Gloom wanted to capture? He could do it. But now, when it was her turn, she couldn't bear to do it. After all, Gu Jingyu had helped her countless times as the palace master of the Dark Palace. The last time when she was plotted against by the Palace of Gloom, the evil aura which she was inflicted with almost cost her life. It was Gu Jingyu who risked his life to save her. If she could really bear to do it, wouldn't she be too ungrateful? This chapter end viewing first episode Zue new chapter section please arrive Tang Ku shop, mobile address. Chapter 47:13. Yiqing Luo, based on your character, after knowing this palace's real identity, you definitely can't bear to make a move on this palace, right? Gu Jingyu's tone was filled with ridicule. That pair of eyes, which were no longer as gentle as before, was filled with malevolence as a faint cold arc appeared. His sinister lips curled upwards as he smiled eerily. Then, this palace won't stand on ceremony. His words had just ended. He had already turned into an arrow which had left the bow as he brought along a dense black evil qi as he attacked towards Yiqing Luo. The dense black evil qi was mixed with profound waves. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted. She could clearly feel just how strong the profound energy which was heading towards her was. It was filled with murderous intent. Apparently, was going to deal a vicious blow to her. Without the slightest bit of mercy. Until Gu Jingyu's attack was merely 2 steps away from Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo then clenched her glower flame fan tightly as she swept up numerous waves as she blocked in front of her. Gu Jingyu's attack collided with the glower flame fan's waves. A wave of earth quaked as shattered stones flew everywhere. The entire battlefield was filled with a rumbling, buzzing sound because of this strong qi wave collision. Yiqing Luo stood on the back of the scarlet flame as she retreated 2 steps and raised her eyes to look at him. The rippling emotions beneath her eyes were extremely complicated. Gu Jingyu tilted his head as his attack missed. A sinister cold smile blossomed on his lips. Looks like you're not as loyal as I imagined. This palace made a move on you and you actually retaliated. Are you worthy of everything that this palace had once done for you? Yiqing Luo's heart felt as though it had been punched fiercely by something. Her gaze turned gloomier and gloomier. Her slender fingers clenched into a fist. Ah! Suddenly a miserable shriek was heard from below. On the world group side, Mo Ying's barrier had been opened. Witchcraft worms speedily invaded the world group. Luckily everyone's reaction was agile. They swiftly evaded. And swiftly counterattacked. But they didn't notice that not too far away, a figure standing quietly by the side was attacking the world group's youngsters. Xiaofan acutely sensed it and speedily dashed in front of that youngster, blocking that attack. But his entire person fell onto the ground as he spat out blood. Instantly, it attracted numerous witchcraft worms as it speedily spread over. Rupan! Quick! Hurry up and disperse those voodoo insects. Rupan, come here. Everyone in the world group instantly rushed towards Rupan in a fluster. But how could their speed compare to the densely packed witchcraft goo? Rupan was severely injured and had nowhere to run. Looking at the dense voodoo insects crawling towards him, Lin Fan was stunned. The girl's pretty face revealed a trace of determination. She suddenly pulled out a dagger and slashed at her own neck. If she was swallowed by the voodoo worm, she would become like those monsters. She would not have her own thoughts and would even attack her brothers. However, if she died before the voodoo worm devoured her, those voodoo goo worms could no longer use her body. Rupan was unafraid of death. Don't act recklessly. Just as the dagger was about to slit her fair neck, suddenly, a bright red light shot over and knocked the dagger out of the girl's hand. At the same time, the purest flames in the world appeared around the girl. The densely packed witchcraft goo then vanished into thin air, but not too far away, a painful moan was heard. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and speedily turned their gazes towards the direction of the voice. Yiqing Luo, who was standing on the red flame's back, was as pale as paper as her eyes were filled with pain as she looked towards that direction. Chapter 47:14. They saw that the person who originally attacked the world group's youngsters but was blocked by Rupan. Because of the blazing flames, she was twisting and struggling in pain. Tong Ziqing. It was Tong Ziqing. Earlier, it was because of Tong Ziqing that the world group couldn't bear to hurt Tong Ziqing. which gave Tong Ziqing the chance to break the barrier which Mo Yuing had conjured. Because of that, the scene just now happened. The World Group's youngsters' hearts were heavy and complicated. They totally didn't know what kind of attitude they should use to face Tong Ziqing. That was like a wild beast, cold and bloodthirsty, without any emotions in her eyes towards their friendship. It really made those who had once gone through life and death with Tong Ziqing, worshipping Tong Ziqing as their goddess before Yiqing Luo appeared, to follow them wholeheartedly. Their hearts were in an extreme pain. But when they saw Tong Ziqing suffering from the blazing flames, that kind of pain and contortion, as though they would be burnt to ashes in the next instance. Their inner hearts were burning with anxiety and suffering. Thinking about it, Yiqing Luo's current state was absolutely not any better than them. And at this moment, there were quite a number of cultivators around who were shouting loudly, "Burn them to death! Don't stop this flame! This flame is used to deal with their schemes. Imperial Madam, that lady is obviously not an ordinary person. Even if you show her mercy, she won't be able to come back. Why not settle her as soon as possible, in case you guys get hurt?" There were some cultivators who were quick-witted as they tried to reason and move them emotionally, "Imperial Madam, and everyone. We know it's really difficult for you to make such a decision. But have you ever thought that if that lady was conscious, would she be willing to live like this, to hurt you guys?" Needless to say, this sentence stabbed right into the World Group's hearts. If it was any of them, they would absolutely not be willing to become enemies with their own brothers. They would rather die before they were poisoned by the goo. And they would absolutely not be willing to become a monster who hurt their own brothers. Just like earlier. Ni Ruo Pan's decision. If it was any one of them, they would also choose the same. So, Tong Ziqing was the same. If Tong Ziqing was conscious now, seeing so many of her brothers being hurt, her heart would definitely be in even more pain than them right now. Gloomy Palace. Everyone in the World Group clenched their fists tightly as a venomous look surfaced in their eyes. It was all because of the Dark Nether Palace. Playing with their sincerity and true feelings. If they couldn't destroy the Palace of Darkness, what a waste of humanity. At this moment, an unwavering goal emerged in the hearts of the young boys and girls. Their words were heard by Yiqing Luo. Her eyes were very heavy. He sat on Qi Yan's back. He was expressionless. His mind was in a mess. It was as if countless voices were filling his ears. The people around her kept forcing her to make the right choice. However, what exactly was the right thing to do? The pressure from Tong Ziqing and Gu Jingyu's pressure. All of them were pressuring her. Yiqing Luo only felt that her brain was about to explode. At this moment, Gu Jingyu took the opportunity to laugh sinisterly as he waved his palm wind, attacking towards Yiqing Luo once again. "You still have the mood to care about others? Why don't you properly think about how you should fight with me? Think about it. How good have I been to you? How about you? How should you repay me? Ha ha ha." Chapter 47:15. Gu Jingyu's cold laughter was extremely clear in his ears, as though it had penetrated through Yiqing Luo's head, which was about to explode. It made her emotions even more chaotic. A pair of long and coquettish eyes were covered with a scarlet-red glow. Wisps of profound energy encircled the young lady's body, as though the profound wave was overflowing from her body. It was boiling. Gu Jingyu's attack was very fast. But, under Gu Jingyu's attack, Yiqing Luo's mind was still very fast, like a movie playback. The scenes flashed past the first time she met Gu Jingyu, after he became the Palace Lord of Secluded Darkness Palace. All sorts of scenes. Finally, it stopped on the man's handsome face, giving her a warm smile. From today onwards, there's no more connection between you and me. I'm using this method to force myself to give up. If you can't be with me, then don't give me any hope. Yiqing Luo, I don't want you to be soft-hearted towards me, to show mercy to me. Every word reverberated in her mind. Yiqing Luo's head was swollen as she moaned in pain. Her slender hand pressed against her head. In her mind, she seemed to see a white light, constantly attacking her emotions. And in front of her, Gu Jingyu's attack was already nearing her face. She subconsciously raised the feather fan in her hand. The profound wave was like a huge dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it charged towards Gu Jingyu. Bam! The deafening profound wave shook and the battlefield collapsed once again. Gu Jingyu didn't expect Yiqing Luo to really retaliate. He couldn't avoid it in time. He was directly sent flying by that profound wave. The thick, black, evil Yin energy was defeated. The intense pain made his chest stuffy as he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Gu Jingyu half propped himself up as he raised his head, looking at the red-robed figure standing on the back of the scarlet flame. He slowly raised his hand and wiped off the blood stains on his lips. The corners of his lips curled into a sinister sneer. Finally, you're willing to take action against me. He slowly stood up. His tall and slender figure swayed a little. But he quickly steadied himself. His face was filled with ridicule. Looks like you've made up your mind. The girl did not answer his question. He stood on Qi Yan's back with a cold expression on his face. Boundless profound ripples lingered around her body, making her seem even more otherworldly, like a celestial maiden that was out of reach. She lowered her eyes. He looked down at Gu Jingyu. There was not the slightest fluctuation in her charming eyes. Gu Jingyu's heart suddenly skipped a beat. No, that's not right. This was not Yiqing Luo. How could Yiqing Luo possibly reveal such an expression towards him? Just now, she still had a pained expression on her face, unable to make a decision. Just, what was going on? Gu Jingyu. The girl's voice was clear, and her eyes were as calm as water. She jumped down from Qi Yan's back. The profound waves that were set off actually enveloped the entire battlefield. He controlled the witchcraft Gu on the spot, unable to move at all. It was so powerful that it was suffocating. All the advantages that he had been relying on just now had completely collapsed at this instant. The expression on Gu Jingyu's face froze, and a vicious look appeared in his eyes. As a deal, you once raised a request to me. The young girl's words were transmitted into his ears. If we meet again, we'll be strangers. So, in my eyes, you're only the palace lord of secluded palace, my enemy. The young girl's tone was very calm. As though she had thought through something. There wasn't any ripple on her face. She strolled leisurely towards Gu Jingyu. Every step she took seemed as though she was stepping on everyone's heart on the battlefield. But they didn't dare to open their mouths, to break the strange atmosphere. Chapter 47:16. The current Yiqing Luo looked too strange. Like a god who looked down on all living beings. Looking down on the world. The bright and beautiful red dress danced wildly in the strong wind. It accentuated the young lady's exquisite brows which sunk into astonishment. Even the world group's hearts were pounding wildly from the young lady's aura. You. Gu Jingyu also realized the coldness and indifference in the young lady's tone. His brows creased tightly. An unfamiliar emotion suddenly arose in his heart. As though someone was clutching his heart tightly. It made him feel a suffocating heavy feeling. Could it be that Yiqing Luo had done something to him? Why did he feel so uncomfortable looking at the young lady's calm and indifferent look? Gu Jingyu's breathing congealed. He forced himself to calm down. He gazed at the young lady's enchanting profound light. As well as that cold and resolute attitude. As though he had thought of something. That seemingly gentle, yet sinister face suddenly laughed. Following that, she laughed sinisterly. I've not expected that this Empress can actually force you to lose your rationality. Does this mean that this Empress actually holds an important position in your heart? Lost her rationality? The world group's brows creased tightly as they stared at Gu Jingyu and asked sternly, what do you mean by this? Ha ha ha, your Madame Qing Luo, because of the dilemma between the world and righteousness, was unable to make a choice. Hence the surging profound energy in her body caused her to collapse. Gu Jingyu didn't hide anything as his gloomy voice was filled with an eerie smile as he explained, she's indeed a rare genius. Even under such a situation, she didn't lose control of her profound energy, causing her meridians to break down. On the contrary, it prompted her to advance. Advancement. The world group's expressions turned uglier by the minute. Advancement was a good thing. But hearing Gu Jingyu's meaning. Apparently, Yiqing Luo's advancement this time round was absolutely not for any benefits. Furthermore, what was the loss of control and losing her rationality that Gu Jingyu mentioned? Although the current Yiqing Luo looked a little strange. But, it was still very normal. Gu Jingyu's eyes were gloomy as he said word by word, as a cultivator, you should be very clear about profound great advancement. After the advancement, you need to expend energy to merge the advanced profound energy with your body. But Yiqing Luo's sudden advancement was due to the stimulation. And under the stimulation, I didn't have any time to adjust the power after my advancement, nor did I have the time to merge with the surging Xian energy in my body. Say, what do you think will be the final result after the body is filled to the brim with endless energy? At this moment, it wasn't only the world group whose faces were pale. Even those cultivators on the battlefield had their faces turn pale, as the gazes they shot towards Yiqing Luo were filled with terror and terror. This is the consequence. It was just as Gu Jingyu had said. Ordinary profound practitioners would have their tendons and meridians severed, their bodies exploding and they would die. Or worse, qi deviation and loss of sanity if Yiqing Luo went into qi deviation. That's indifference. Wouldn't they have one more powerful opponent? The expressions of the world group turned ugly. No wonder Gu Jingyu patiently explained to them. They wanted to throw the morale of their troops into chaos. The current Yiqing Luo, I'm afraid it's her willpower that is supporting her. Gu Jingyu's lips curled into an evil smile as he slowly raised his hand. The sinister qi condensed in his palm. It also made the man's clear face look a little sinister and vicious. This chapter end viewing starting event Zue new chapter section please arrive Tang Ku shop, mobile address. Chapter 47:17. Willpower? What did Gu Jingyu's words mean? The world group looked at Yiqing Luo worriedly as their eyes were filled with worry. A flat and emotionless voice slowly rang, once Qing Luo's willpower crumbles, Qing Luo will be easily swallowed by the power after the advancement. Everyone turned to the source of the voice. Only to see a young lady dressed in pink dumpling, expressionlessly saying, Qing Luo is in danger. Then what should we do? The world group immediately asked. After long Yunzhan and Tong Zi Qing were restricted by the Dark Nether Palace. Mo Yuing was the leader of the world group. Because, ever since they came to the Earth domain, although Mo Yuing was expressionless. But she looked like she knew everything. She knew everything about the Earth domain. Furthermore, she had been the commander of the battle between the heaven and the earth realms. Although Mo Yuying's presence was usually very low. It was as if he couldn't even see where she was. But at every critical moment, Mo Yuying would always be able to shoulder the burden alone. We can't agitate Qing Luo. Mo Yuying slightly narrowed her emotionless eyes, think of a way to lead everyone away from the battlefield. With Zi Qing here, there's no way to deal with those witchcraft insects. The world group all looked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Immediately after, their eyes turned solemn, and the flames around their bodies surged. Yes. After arranging everyone in the world group, Mo Ying raised her eyes and looked at the young girl whose clothes were fluttering in the wind. An extremely faint light flashed across his empty and lifeless eyes. She lifted her feet and walked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. He had yet to move. A large palm grabbed his wrist. "What are you doing?" Mo Ying looked at the palm and slowly raised her head. She looked at him expressionlessly. "Let go." Xiao Yinyan frowned and said worriedly, "No, it's too dangerous." Mo Ying's big empty eyes revealed a bit of coldness. "Let go. I know you're very strong, but it's clearly not at a stage where you can interfere." Xiao Yinyan refused to let go. "Go with them and lead everyone away from the battlefield." During the conversation, Gu Jingyu seemed to have seen through the world group's intentions. He directly launched an attack towards Yiqing Luo. As long as he could force Yiqing Luo's profound waves into a mess. Yiqing Luo didn't bother about the situation on the battlefield at all. Those voodoo Gu could quickly devour everyone on the battlefield, using these powerful profound practitioners as witchcraft puppets. It was an army that was undefeatable and invincible. As for Yiqing Luo, under such circumstances, she was promoted. Sooner or later, it would collapse. The ruthless coldness in Gu Jingyu's eyes intensified, and his attacks were also ruthless, specifically targeting Yiqing Luo's vital points. Yiqing Luo's expression was as cold as water and there wasn't even a single ripple in her eyes. Her beautiful face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. As for Gu Jingyu's attack, he didn't show any mercy and fought back directly. The two of them exchanged blows, causing the earth to quake and the mountains to shake. The Xian wave almost shattered the entire battlefield. As for those Gu people who were swallowed by the witchcraft Gu, after the flames disappeared, they started to attack wantonly. Mo Ying spoke again, "Let go. Don't go over there." Xiao Yinyan was a little tired. Why didn't his wife listen to him? His former wife was so adorable. Qing Luo is in danger. Mo Ying's gaze was emotionless, without much emotions. "I'll be fine. Then I'll go with you." Xiao Yinyan knew that he couldn't win Mo Ying in an argument, so he made the final compromise. End of this chapter. Chapter 47:18. Mo Ying's empty gaze fell onto Xiao Yinyan. After a few breaths, she said indifferently, "Up to you." Xiao Yinyan finally released her wrist. The pink dumpling girl held Xiao Yinyan's hand in reverse. Without waiting for Xiao Yinyan's heartbeat to accelerate, he was pulled by Mo Ying and was dragged to the edge of the sky. Stepping over the dense witchcraft worms on the ground, he headed straight towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Yiqing Luo's movements were as smooth as flowing water, the glower flame fan on her fingertips kept sweeping an astonishing arc. As though it was gathering on her fingertips, swallowing everything around it. After more than 10 moves, Gu Jingyu was obviously at a disadvantage. No matter how he used words to provoke Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo was expressionless as she responded and counterattacked. There was no fluctuation of emotions at all. Not affected at all. After Gu Jingyu was sent flying, he stabilized his footsteps and frowned at the young lady in front of him. "This is what you hope for, isn't it?" The young lady opened up her arms, like a fairy, as she landed on the ground. Her voice was cold and clear on the battlefield where the profound waves rumbled. Gu Jingyu's heart thumped fiercely, gazing at the young lady's pair of calm eyes. His brows knitted even tighter, as there was some fluctuation in his eyes. The young lady spoke indifferently, "You said it yourself, the next time we meet will be strangers, isn't it? Why are you looking at me in this way?" Her pink lips curled slightly, peerlessly beautiful. The majestic profound wave spread. However, The girl's smile seemed to be able to make everything around her lose its splendor. Not knowing why, Gu Jingyu felt as though his heart was pierced by numerous needles, ruthlessly. There was some kind of emotion surging in his chest. Why, when facing Yiqing Luo, would he have such a feeling? Gu Jingyu's breathing became hurried. The young lady walked over slowly. The alluring red glow under her feet spread all the way. It formed an invisible shield around her. Until the young lady stopped in front of Gu Jingyu. Gu Jingyu seemed to have suddenly regained his senses, as his warm black eyes stared at Yiqing Luo. Suddenly, he took a step back. I will not be lenient towards you. The young lady raised her hand slightly. That fiery red fan on the young lady's fair fingertips became even more brilliant. Ah! Ugh! Gu Jingyu stared at the glowing flame fan in her hand and quickly tried to dodge it. But in the next instant, a dense evil Yin aura emerged from the man's feet. In an instant, the man's entire body was enveloped in black qi. The man groaned in pain, his body contorting. Yiqing Luo's attack paused momentarily. Her slender, white fingers reached out toward the thick black gas. Just as he moved, her arm was hugged by a small hand. A petite figure fell into the girl's arms. Chapter 47:19. She knew what Mo Yuing meant. Yes, she could tell. She could tell that this Gu Jingyu had a problem. Ah! Woo-woo! Muffled groans could be heard coming from within the thick, black, evil energy. Suddenly, the profound Yin Qi started to spread. With a bang, the profound waves exploded in the surrounding air. Like a bomb, it exploded in the entire battlefield. A burst of earth quaked, causing those cultivators who were trying to escape from the battlefield to scream in terror. Under this powerful explosion, the three people beside Yiqing Luo seemed to be isolated from the explosion. Their bodies were surrounded by a barrier that emitted a bright red light. It blocked the thick, black, and evil energy. It also blocked the shockwaves from the explosion. Through the barrier, Yiqing Luo could clearly see that after the black qi dissipated, a figure was slowly revealed. His black robe was fluttering in the strong wind. His jet-black hair danced wildly on his shoulders. Between his brows, there was a thick sinister qi. His eyes were filled with a thick sinister qi. He looked like a devil who had crawled out from hell, attempting to kill everything in the world. On him, Yiqing Luo could no longer see that kind of feeling that the man once had. Was like jade, unparalleled in the world. Yiqing Luo. Perhaps it was because of the pity in Yiqing Luo's gaze, as though she was thinking of someone through him, that attracted Gu Jingyu's attention. The man's hoarse and sinister voice seemed to be cut by a saw, as it was unusually sharp and ear-piercing. You're actually still conscious? Gu Jingyu was very astonished. According to his analysis, shouldn't Yiqing Luo's consciousness have been controlled by the chaotic profound energy? Why was she still conscious? Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled slightly, the smile on the arc was extremely shallow. Gu Jingyu, since you understand me so well, how would you not know that my acceptance and adaptability is different from others? She indeed, from the start. It was because of the dilemma, which stimulated the profound energy which was suppressed in her body. She broke through the advancement barrier in one fell swoop and was able to advance a grade. Because of her unstable emotions, the profound energy in her body surged and broke through her consciousness. He almost lost control. But fortunately, very quickly, she gained control of part of the sovereignty. As for the other part, it could be said that she deliberately did not plunder it. Because, she had to let her heart cool down. He could not be influenced by the Abyss Palace. Why did she have to choose between the so-called world and brotherhood? Yet, she wanted both. Secluded Darkness Palace's scheme this time round is indeed very well planned. Yiqing Luo gave a faint smile as her long and narrow eyes seemed to be circulating with a chilly cold glint. The devouring flame fan at her fingertips. A dazzling and fatal profound light flashed past, lingering around her. It was as if in the next moment, it would obey her command and take her target's life. I thought I could wake you up. Yiqing Luo congealed Gu Jingyu's pair of vicious eyes. His eyes slightly darkened. A few strands of gentleness could be faintly seen. The Gu Jingyu in front of him, was not him, but also him. It was Gu Jingyu. He had Gu Jingyu's body, Gu Jingyu's memories, Gu Jingyu's power, Gu Jingyu's, and many more. But there was one thing missing. That was his heart. Without the heart which loved Yiqing Luo. And without his gentleness, his kindness, his softness. The current Gu Jingyu. It was like a killing machine. Or, more accurately, a puppet of the Abyss Palace. 11. Chapter 47:20. Because. Gu Jingyu's current existence. Just to lead the Palace of Darkness to deal with her. Such an arrangement from the Palace of Darkness. They were simply determined to make use of the feelings that she cared about the most. Forcing her to go into qi deviation. If her willpower wasn't strong enough. At Long Yunzhan's betrayal. Tong Ziqing was controlled by witchcraft to take action against the world group. Gu Jingyu kept on saying that he owed him and wanted to repay him. Under such circumstances, forcefully advancing would cause the profound energy to be in a mess. The consequence would only be qi deviation. This was the motive of the Palace of Darkness. Yiqing Luo's fair fingertips gently pressed against the azure dew bracelet on her wrist. Her pink lips curled up into an extremely shallow arc. Luckily, Old Man Tsang woke her up at the critical juncture. Luckily, her willpower was strong enough. Then she avoided the backlash from the profound energy and the consequence of going into qi deviation. The Palace of Darkness had probably thought that their plan would fail. But they had never expected that Gu Jingyu, as the puppet of the Palace of Darkness, would have some strange actions because of Yiqing Luo's words. Earlier, she attempted to awaken Gu Jingyu's rationality. To call back the heart that he had lost. But the Palace of Darkness discovered it in time. Forcefully suppressing all the fluctuations in Gu Jingyu's emotions. But it was because of this that Yiqing Luo was completely certain that everything that she had guessed was true. 4 pairs of eyes met. The man's eyes, which were filled with dense black yin qi, revealed a maniacal emotion as he looked at her without blinking. Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change as her narrow long eyes squinted slightly, revealing a chilly glint. After a moment of silence, Gu Jingyu took 2 steps forward. His tall and straight body swayed a little. Bringing along the yin qi, it drew an extremely shallow arc in the air. You're indeed very smart. His sinister voice was filled with a treacherous cold glint. That was a kind of different from the sinister piercing voice earlier. But as though it was wrapped in frost, a voice which came from the faraway North Pole. That blurry face which was faintly discernible in the yin qi was revealed from time to time. Yiqing Luo's gaze was fixated on that pair of malicious yet cold and mocking eyes. The light in her eyes flickered. His whole body was surrounded by profound waves, and his eyes became vigilant. You are not Gu Jingyu. Yiqing Luo took 2 steps back as she spoke in a chilly voice, Palace of Gloom. The real Palace Lord. That look. Even the puppet Gu Jingyu didn't have it. That kind of aura. It was also not an aura that Gu Jingyu could have. The person in front of him was no longer Gu Jingyu. Jia jia jia, the man opposite him chuckled softly. His face, which was obviously handsome but looked slightly sinister because of the black aura, revealed an extremely strange smile. As expected of the person that I have always wanted. With just a glance, you recognized me. The smile on Gu Jingyu's face gradually deepened. It was cold and filled with pride and complacency. Yiqing Luo's expression suddenly sunk. The hurricane danced wildly. Profound waves swept out. The two of them stood face to face. The dazzling light collided with the black aura. Without a sound, countless sparks had already been produced from the collision. This should be considered as. This was the first time that she and the person behind the Palace of Gloom had a real exchange of blows. Even if the other party was using Gu Jingyu's body. Get out of his body. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth indifferently, her voice was icy cold. Gu Jingyu raised his hand and touched his face. This is my disciple. I have bestowed so much glory to him and he has enjoyed the things that I have bestowed, so how can he not give back? Calm. Wonderful book house. Chapter 47-21. Pooh. Yiqing Luo scoffed coldly, as she looked at Gu Jingyu's gaze, filled with disgust. What you gave him, is it really what he wants? You're merely imposing what you think on him. Yiqing Luo's fingers slowly tightened on the glower flame fan. The bewitching red glow encircled her body. Gu Jingyu smiled sinisterly, as he didn't put Yiqing Luo in his eyes, with an arrogant attitude. From your tone, you seem to care a lot about this good disciple of mine. In the eyes of the person behind the scenes of the Nether Palace. Indeed, he wasn't worried that Yiqing Luo would play any new tricks. Because, when the person behind the scenes of the Nether Palace appeared in the body of Gu Jingyu, he was already confident that victory was within his grasp. Since you care so much about him, then why can't you choose to accept him? Gu Jingyu laughed lowly, wave after wave, as his chest undulated. Following that, as though he was asking for an explanation for his own disciple, he looked at Yiqing Luo without blinking, as his tone carried a questioning tone. Do you know that he would become like this, all because thanks to me? The young lady's icy cold voice, word by word, continued what Gu Jingyu wanted to say. Gu Jingyu was slightly stunned, as his face revealed a rare surprise. Following that, he laughed lowly. Looks like, you know everything. Under the situation where you know everything, you can still lay such a vicious hand on this seat's good disciple. You're really heartless. Originally I didn't know, but I just found out. Yiqing Luo didn't have many emotional ups and downs because of Gu Jingyu's intentional ridicule, and intentionally trying to stir up her emotions. From the start to the end, her expression was extremely calm. More than half of her consciousness, which was swallowed by the jumbled profound waves, was also slowly recovering. Yiqing Luo's gaze stared deeply at this familiar, yet unusually unfamiliar face. I admit, Gu Jingyu indeed did put in a lot for me. But the person who really consigned him to eternal damnation is you. Don't display in front of me how much you dote on Gu Jingyu. It will only make me feel disgusted. The young lady's brows surfaced a look of disgust. Last time, the mysterious fragrance incident was planned by you. At that time, the Gu poison in Long Yunzhan's body acted up. Long Yunzhan used his long sword to bring the mysterious fragrance into her body. At that time, you made a few plans, right? Yiqing Luo seemed to have deduced everything as the tone she used when she opened her mouth was filled with ridicule. The profound fragrance should be a scheme that you set up in order to obtain Gu Jingyu. If Gu Jingyu doesn't act according to your plan, the mysterious fragrance can also control me to achieve your ultimate goal. You used Ajan to poison me with the mystical fragrance, and then let Gu Jingyu know about it. The mysterious Een fragrance is a Een poison that even I am unable to cure. Only you can. In order for me to survive, Gu Jingyu made a deal with you. When Yiqing Luo said this, she paused slightly. Congealing the face of Gu Jingyu in front of her, as compared to the Gu Jingyu in her memory, there was a vast difference in expression. She continued, at that time I was still thinking, why did he say such strange things when he saved me? Wanting to treat us as strangers, in exchange for saving me. Because you used his heart, as the method to cure the profound Een fragrance, in exchange. Chapter 47:22. So. That was why Gu Jingyu said those words to her back then. Which was why he righteously used the excuse of saving her, in exchange for a chance for them to be strangers. He even mentioned before. When they met again, he wouldn't pity her anymore. He also reminded her that when they met again, not to believe anything he said, that he would stand on his master's side unconditionally. Actually, from that moment onwards, he already knew everything. But, for her, he had no other choice. He could only agree to his master's request. This was the real motive of the person behind the secluded palace. That person had schemed everything. Everything was interconnected. He really didn't give her any breathing space at all. Yiqing Luo gave a light laugh as her long and narrow eyes overflowed with a faint cold glint. That's right, everything you said is right. Gu Jingyu didn't have any intention to hide as he sneered sinisterly at her. After knowing what he had done for you, do you feel any gratitude towards him? His smile was extremely cold and sinister. His frightening eyes were filled with a thick, dark, evil aura. Once there's gratitude, then it's not too far away from love. Gu Jingyu's smile revealed some conceited complacency. In this way, this seat's obedient disciple has to thank this seat. Yiqing Luo's brows were as cold as water right from the start. There wasn't a single ripple on her gorgeous face because of Gu Jingyu's words. As the sinister qi around Gu Jingyu became thicker and thicker, it almost spread across the entire battlefield. Yiqing Luo's dazzling profound glow was also gradually spreading. Between the two of them, there seemed to be a silent confrontation. The people in the battlefield, under the World Group's lead, gradually retreated from the battlefield. This prevented a large number of cultivators from being hurt by the two of them. But there was still a small portion of cultivators who didn't leave the battlefield in time. Instantly, they were engulfed by the too majestic profound energy on the battlefield. Those densely packed witchcraft bugs also vanished into thin air at this instance. The entire battlefield seemed to belong to the both of them. No one could interfere. Shock and astonishment corroded everyone's hearts. Shadow. Ni Rupan's flustered voice was heard from the World Group's mercenary card. You guys are still in the battlefield, are you alright? About 30 meters away from the powerful aura emitted by Yiqing Luo and Gu Jingyu, a pink ball-shaped barrier was faintly discernible. Mo Ying grabbed Xiao Yinyan's arm with one hand and held the mercenary card with the other. I'm fine. In the midst of the frenzied hurricane profound wave, the pink barrier seemed to be unaffected in the slightest. Xiao Yinyan stood behind Mo Ying in shock. He felt very complicated. He was actually protected by Mo Ying. The reason he followed his wife was to protect her. Why was he the one being protected now? Xiao Yinyan wanted to stand in front of Mo Ying like a man. But, looking at the sand and pebbles flying around, the game was in a frenzy. If Mo Ying let go of his hand, he would probably be devoured like the other cultivators, right? Xiao Yinyan's heart was filled with depression. Mo Ying ignored him. Her eyes drooped and her empty gaze was fixed on the mercenary card. Ni Rupan's cautious voice was heard from inside. Shadow, Sister Zi Qing is still inside. If it's possible, can you bring her out? Finishing this sentence, Ni Rupan explained apprehensively, Sister Ziqing is different from the others who were inflicted with witchcraft bugs. She might be able to change back. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.